So we are back. It is a new season and it's a new start, isn't it, for everybody? But we're going to have some familiar faces as well. This is the first one of the season, so we're going to be looking ahead to what's coming over the next 9 months. Hopefully, a glorious season for Arsenal. We're going to look at pre-season. We're going to have a look at the transfer window. We're going to have a look back on some opening day memories. We're going to preview the Wolves game, and of course, we're going to give our predictions for the season, where we think Arsenal finish, who's going to win what, and all that sort of stuff. And it's all coming up the other side of this. So good evening. This is Over and Over and Over Again. It's the Arsenal Review, and we have got, of course, some very special guests. Actually, I need to get their names on because for some reason they're not showing, are they? There we go. Just in case you forgot who they were. Of course, it's Lee and it's Tom. We've got Neil joining us as well shortly. He's running a little bit late tonight. So we're going to have a full house. It's going to be good. Lee, good to see you again. You had a good summer?
I've had a great summer, Rich. It's, as you say, the weather's been off and on. So I try to escape out to Spain where it's a bit more guaranteed. But yeah, it's been nice. But looking forward to the football. We had a bit of football in the summer, obviously, with England. But
yes.
It's not Arsenal. Not Arsenal, is it? Let's face it. So
it's not. It's not. Although it ended quite similar to what it does for Arsenal at the moment by coming second. So there you go. But anyway, and a guest that's been on before. It's been a while. Tom, how are you? Good to see you.
Not too bad, Rich. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad at all. Not too bad. So I've had a good break away from worrying about all the things that we worry about for 9 months of the year. It's nice to have a few months where you haven't got to worry about them. And, the England thing was a bit of a bonus, I suppose. We could relax, watch a bit of football and, enjoy the final as much as we could. So it's not been too bad, has it? Which is all good stuff.
No.
Now, of course, we're going to have some stress now over the next 9 months, aren't we? Probably it's going to be up and down. We know what's happening. We know what's going to happen. We've been through this many, many times before over the years, haven't we? And no doubt many more times to come. Now, obviously, it's a new season, and of course, it's August, which can only mean one thing. It only means that we're in the middle of what has been a rather quiet at the moment. Anyway, transfer window. No, actually, I want to come to Tom with this first of all, because Tom put this list up on Facebook the other day, and they are 25 players that have actually left Arsenal this summer. Obviously, a lot of them are youth players, not necessarily the first team players. There's a few first team players in there, some on loan, obviously, some who are going permanent deals, obviously Emile Smith-Rowe being the main one. And so far, only one player actually come in, which is obviously Calafiori, who's played a few minutes the other day. Tom, what are you making of this? Because it's been a big clear out, hasn't it, by the look of it? Is it to make way for new signings? Is it a financial thing? Or is it just that Mikel's saying he doesn't trust these players to be able to do a job in the first team?
I think it's a little bit of everything, really. But I kind of guess it is laying the foundations to go and spend some money somewhere. And because of the financial rulings, you've got to be ever so careful. Look at City, still languishing about, still 115 charges to go through. They'll get round to it when I'm about 87. But I think I think the only ones I was quite surprised it's 25 players, but obviously the only one that disappointed me up to this point was ESR. I mean, I was gutted because, people are saying he's injury prone and all that sort of stuff, which he has had more than his fair share of injuries. But when he has played, let's cast our mind back a little bit to when we were in the doldrums and in the dark times. There was him and Saka, which was the shining light. Yeah, and I just thought we could have found room for him somewhere. But this all seems like, sorry, I think that's me. It all seems like we're kind of, Mikel's got his favourites coming through. and ESR was an inevitable casualty to try and get some funds in. And we're going to, I think it's been a sorry transfer window so far, quite poor actually, nothing exciting, nothing sort of raises the hairs on your arms or your neck, does it? Yeah, so it's interesting the way they've gone about it.
I mean, it is. And I mean, I didn't realise that many players had gone until you put that list up. And I'm thinking, wow. And yes, okay, it's a lot of academy players and a lot of them are on loan and stuff like that. But I don't know. I mean, Lee, that's a bit of a worry for me, isn't it? Because we've always produced our own players. We've always got academy players in the first team, obviously Saka, Smith Rowe that we've mentioned. And it seems as though that stops happening. And now we're getting rid of half our academy. It's a bit of a strange situation, a bit worrying, actually, isn't it? Do you not think?
Yeah, it's a change in strategy, Rich, isn't it? As Tom mentioned, to me, this is a bit of the three reasons you mentioned. It's a bit of each, but the main one for me is probably the financial fair play, right? So they're looking at the numbers. The numbers have got to work. The numbers will dictate everything. So you've got a bunch of players in an academy, right? Well, Conor Gallagher, we're switching to Chelsea, kind of case in point, right? You have a bunch of players 8-year contracts, but because you've got a homegrown player, boom, you sell him. I know they're struggling to get him out the door, but just makes the numbers work. It's a winner, right? It's a different strategy. Whereas years ago, they wouldn't have even been into the equation. We brought in, Thomas, Rocastle, Merson, Adams, all the rest. There was no question they weren't being sold. Not in a million years. They was into the first team. So that's just not happening. So it seems, and it's not just Arsenal. It's a lot of the clubs, and they're selling academy players to each other. So there's something. It's not quite right. FFP wasn't. I'm sure it didn't set out to do what it's doing, right? Because it's just a money making thing. But same as Tom, I was gutted about Emil Smith Rowe. I know us fans get attached to a player, but trying to put my bias to one side about how much we love him. He was arguably our best player with Saka, as Tom said, 3 years ago, and I would have persevered. But the trouble is, I'm not Mikel Arteta, and as we said, Rich, last year, we got frustrated, didn't we? Like, give him a chance as a footballer. Yeah, he has had injuries, but he spent most of last year, from what I can see, he was fit most of the season. He just weren't. He brought on with, I was pulling my hair out so many games, and we've had conversations. Bringing him on was 4.5 minutes to go. Even in a Champions League game, I think it was PSV, was it, at home, we were 4-0 up. He might have got 20 minutes. Arteta might have gone mad and given him 18 minutes. But as a footballer, you need half an hour minimum. So people say, oh, he's injury prone. If I was Smith Rowe, I'd be going, well, hang on a minute. You didn't get me on the pitch. Get me on the pitch for 6 games, and then maybe I can do it. So obviously, for whatever reason, Arteta didn't fancy him, and he was always going to leave. So gutted for all of us, because again, you said it, Rich, before, we're all really connected, invested in our homegrown players, aren't we? Disappointing. And quiet window, elephant in the room. We're all waiting for this, what we all know we need. Dare I say it, striker, right? There's still time.
What's a striker? What is one of those things you speak of?
Googling it, But I had a conversation with a mate of mine last night, and I said, surely we're going to get a striker. And he went, I don't think so. And I was like, well, surely, logically, tell me why we're not going to get, surely to God, we're going to get a striker in the next couple of weeks. Because despite people saying, but we were the top goal scorers, not when we need a killer against Bayern Munich, home and away. We didn't have one. Out we go. And it's that cutthroat at this level. So we have to get, unless City drop off, then we're going to, we can get into how we think we're going to do. But we need a striker, surely to God.
Rich, can I just say that about Smith Rowe? Can I just say about Smith Rowe thing? Someone contacted me because I was moaning about ESR going and whinging and whining, usual stuff really. And they basically have a contact within the club. Now they said that it's come to their attention that it was a disciplinary issue, and he doesn't strike me as the type of player to get involved in all that. But who knows? I mean, he's a young kid. The world's at his feet. And if it is that, I mean, I'm really surprised that they can't get round a disciplinary issue. I mean, depending on what it is, nobody knows, or if it's true. But I mean, Vieira and ESR. I mean, what one you going to pick? For me, it's no brainer. I'd go ESR every day.
Of course.
So it's the wrong choice for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that the disciplinary thing is probably he disagrees with Mikel Arteta's approach. That's probably what it's probably gone down as a disciplinary issue, but it's not. It's just Emil Smith Rowe not agreeing with what Mikel Arteta his role he wants him to play in the team because it's not natural to him. And I think that was obvious. We saw that in interviews last season and stuff like that. So I'm not surprised. I wouldn't call it a disciplinary thing. I'll just call it a disagreement with the manager, which happens in football. And you've got to be able to work around that, haven't you? And Mikel Arteta don't seem to be able to. But someone who can work around problems is Neil, and he's here, and he's got a nice name tag as well. Look at that. Fantastic. Good to see you, my friend.
Hello, all. How are you?
Hi, Neil.
We're not too bad. We're all not too bad.
Tom,
we're all the better for you joining us.
Oh, no, you're too kind, Rich. Stop it. Stop it. You make me blush. You make me blush.
No.
I'll end up going to
so anyway, we've only just started on the transfer window, which obviously isn't going to take very long because not much has happened so far. In terms of players coming in, obviously we went through the list of 25 players that's kind of gone out. I mean, what have you made of this transfer window, Neil? Because obviously we know that if we want to close that gap on Man City and we want to get above them, we need more than what we've brought in. I think that's quite obvious. And we are, 4 days away from the first game. Yes, the transfer window is open beyond the first game, but we're going into the start of the season and we're no stronger than we were really last season, are we, in reality? In fact, we might be weaker with Smith Rowe going.
No, I agree. I think at the end of the day, we know what we need, even if we're just looking at focusing on the Prem. Focusing on the Prem, we've seen we've come second twice, 2 seasons running. And I think, you see, the problem is there is an issue of depth where if a player gets suspended or injured for whatever reason, because I think we might have mentioned this before in previous pods, we're so finely attuned and balanced. We lose 1 or 2 key players, the whole thing falls apart. Yeah. We're not like other clubs or the cities of this world that they could probably lose 4 or 5 key players and they'll still be okay because they've got their levels don't drop when they bring in the replacements. We don't have that. And I think, and it's not just the Prem we're looking at. We're focusing on the Champions League and the FA Cup as well. Well, I mean, four cups in reality if you count the League Cup, but you know the 3 major ones. And you need a depth to do that because the games. You've got to remember, I think we've got 2 or 3 extra games in the Champions League with the new format as well this season. So you need those extra players because, look, the first 12 or 13 players, they're good enough to win a title possibly with a little bit of luck. We came so close last season. There was I heard you guys talking about the lack of striker or a finisher, which could have cost us the title if you think about it, because maybe a finisher would have got us another 2 or 3 points, which would have taken us, over the line. So we're close with our starting 11, 12, 13 players, let's say. But beyond that, that's when things start becoming problematic. And that's why we need this, this investment in players where the level does not drop if we lose key players. And I don't think we've quite got that. I mean, I think this defender that we bought, he does look good. I mean, there's been a lot of good talk about him. He looks the business, but it's not. I wouldn't have thought we would be changing that or shoring that up too much because our defense, to be honest, isn't too bad. It's going forward, and even Partey. I mean, I know he looked great in the last pre-season friendly. I think it's probably one of the best games he's had in a while, but it's still just a pre-season friendly. And Partey, if he stays fit the whole season and he plays like that the whole season, then our midfield's sorted with what we've got. But if it isn't, and say, God forbid, something happens to Rice, we're in trouble. So even a midfielder, another midfielder, or someone there to kind of add to that depth would have been useful. But like you guys have said, the striker's the real kind of bewildering one where we need. It's not just about a cover for Saka. We need someone up there who will finish finish moves or be a proper poacher. I thought Jesus was the answer 2 seasons ago, but he's not. And Eddie Nketiah, goodness me, I don't know how we managed to sell ESR before Eddie Nketiah. With all due respect to Eddie, but honestly, that there's no comparison. But yet we managed to get rid of him, and we can't sell. It doesn't make sense to me. Eddie Nketiah is not the answer, and I know there's strong rumours that he is linked now abroad. But at the end of the day, if we end up keeping him, we're not getting anyone in. That's for sure. And I think that is going to be a massive issue for us. So that's the way I see it.
I think the thing as
I mean-
well is you've got this financial fair play issue, and it's cramping everyone. We're having to sell players we don't necessarily want to. There's a smaller pool of that high class talent that you can go for. I mean, when you're paying out silly money for Solanke, who effectively has had one really good season, it kind of tells you where you're at. But it's you've got agents involved, reps, sell-on clauses. I don't think we can underestimate how difficult it is to make what was years ago a really easy transfer. You can't do that anymore. And we're all looking around for the same type of player, to be fair.
Yeah.
No, you're right. And I don't think financial fair play, we said it before, it's not really done the job I think it was brought in to do necessarily. That's not really how it's worked. And yes, we need to look at that and we make sure we do things in the right way. But it's been obvious for 2 years, at least 2 years, that we needed a proper striker, an out-and-out goal-scoring striker in the squad. We haven't got one. In fact, in the whole time that Mikel Arteta has been manager, the only sort of technically striker he's bought is Jesus, and that's not really worked because he scores 5 goals a season when he's fit. So, it's a big issue. And is it an Arteta issue, or is it an issue with financial fair play? Is it an issue with the players available? I think it's a bit of everything, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
And I think Tom's right that there isn't a massive pool of players that you can get because everybody wants the same players. But I think our problem is because, as Neil mentioned before, the structure of the way that we play is so rigid that a lot of players aren't going to fit into that. And we've seen it because how many players have come and gone over the last few years because they haven't fitted into that rigid system. And players might look at that. You've got a centre forward that Arsenal might put a bid in for, and he might look at the system and think, well, look where the centre forward's role is in this Arsenal team. That's not going to suit me. Ivan Toney would not suit this Arsenal lineup, the formation and the way that we play. He wouldn't. Ollie Watkins probably wouldn't fit in. These are the sort of names that we've been mentioning. Osherman, he's an out-and-out centre forward. He's not going to fit in with the way that we play. No. And I think that's the problem that we've got to try and get a centre forward because he bought Kai Havertz and he's played him at centre forward and he's happy with him at centre forward because he scored 15 goals last season. Fantastic. And that's the problem. That's the sort of centre forward that Mikel Arteta wants, a forward like Kai Havertz.
Yeah, we need
a forward like Jesus.
Rich, we need a real centre forward. As you said, as you were talking, I was thinking, in the 5 years Arteta's been there, has he bought a real striker? He hasn't.
He hasn't. He's never going to.
He's not a striker.
He's not going to now, is he? He's not going to buy one now. He hasn't bought one in 5 years. What's going to change?
Well, surely you got to look back. You got to look at what you've done. You got to look at what's missing. I mean, to me, it's obvious. What's it? The definition of madness: keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result. I know it's difficult, but come on. I mean, I don't underestimate it, but not to get one proper striker. I mean, I was thinking the other day, maybe we should have kept what's his name? Who was sold to Chelsea, French player. What's his name?
Giroud.
Yeah, Giroud. The name disappeared from my head. That's how bad it is. At least he was a proper striker, right? Good on the floor, good in the air.
He was. He's not a Mikel Arteta player, though, is he? He's not a Mikel Arteta player.
You've got to be mobile. I mean, who would suit our playing style? Probably the boy at Newcastle, is that right?
Yeah, he's the one that would. He's the only one I've seen that looks to me as though he would fit in.
The only one. Toney, Watkins, not mobile enough. They'd just be caught. Yeah, I mean, they're just probably not fast enough. I don't know. They just want to sort of suit our playing style. So, yeah, it's getting worrying, isn't it? Because unless City drop off, right, if they maintain their level, it's going to be, as Neil said, it's going to be close, and we might just nick it. But those games, West Ham at home, Fulham away to a point, Champions League, Bayern Munich, decent striker, we're winning all those games. How many chances?
Two games against Villa, no goals.
Yeah. 2 games. We had chances to get loads of both games. But...
Newcastle away. You know, we didn't score. We didn't score there. We didn't score Villa away. We didn't score Villa at home. West Ham at home. We didn't score. All those. It would have only taken a couple of goals here and there in them games. We got extra points and we'd have won the league. And that's the difference. And sometimes you think to yourself, okay, you might have to pay 80, 90, 100 million, right, to get a striker, proper striker. You probably will, right? And you've got to think of it, even if Mikel Arteta wants to keep his same system, but he's got that player on the bench that he can bring on in games, start a few games here and there, but he can bring them on. They're the sort of games where, you're desperate for a goal. Bring him on, he gets you a goal and he gets you 3 points. And that's what makes the difference. That's what makes the difference.
Yeah, Ian Wright, the goal scorer.
Yeah, and he might type of player. Yeah.
I think he's
But I
convinced
can't see-
himself that the goals. Sorry, Rich. I think he's convinced
go on.
himself that he can get all the goals he needs from throughout the team, because that's what he was relying on
Yeah.
last season.
Yeah.
Everyone was going to pitch in, which is great.
Yeah.
But you've got
It's
to
not sustainable.
fork out at some point.
It's the tight
Yeah.
games, Tom. It's the real tight
Yeah,
game.
it is. Yeah,
The
it
defense
is.
is mustard. You've got 4 internationals at the back, and sorry, Havertz then he's getting found out because he's just not got. When we have one chance, you're not putting your life on it, are you?
No.
Right.
No.
Whereas you can name even strikers, one chance, boom, it's in the back of the net. With Havertz, if anyone can tell me they're super confident, I mean, he did do well. We all had massive doubts, and he definitely he overachieved for all of us. I think I'm speaking for all you guys, and he had a good.
You're right.
You can't knock him, but that one moment, that one chance, and we miss it, and then they'll go up. Bayern Munich go up the other end and score.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah, no, you can't underestimate the importance of a player like that who's going to get you those goals.
Yeah.
And I thought last season that was the difference. And you're right, and I think you're right, Tom. That Mikel Arteta seems to think that we scored 80 odd goals 2 seasons in a row now, right? Which is a good number of goals. It's a really good number of goals, right? And he'll look at it and think, well, it's worked. We've scored all these goals, and the goals are going through the team. But Saka's been our top scorer 2 seasons in a row, and he's a wide player. He's not a forward. He's almost a winger, really, isn't he? Essentially, in old-fashioned terms, he's a winger, and he's been our top scorer 2 seasons in a row. And to me, and everyone might think that's a good thing, but to me, that's a big worry. That's a problem. You should have your centre forward to be your top scorer. Whoever that centre forward is, whether it's Jesus, whether it's Havertz, whoever it is playing in as a centre forward, should be your top scorer. Look at Man City; their centre forward is their top scorer. Every single season he will be. Do you know what I mean? And that's what we're lacking. And that to me is the difference. If Haaland played for us, we'd have won 2 Premier Leagues in a row. Yeah. And the fact that we haven't got a player like that means Man City have won 4 leagues in a row. And they might go on and win 5 in a row. So it's a problem for me that Mikel Arteta doesn't seem to see it. He seems to be happy, doesn't he, with the system he's playing, the players that are scoring the goals, because Saka gets a lot of goals. Obviously, Havertz got a lot last season. The goals are spread around the team. And suddenly now, as we've seen in pre-season, set pieces now. Let's score loads of goals from set pieces. So it doesn't matter. We don't need a centre forward because Gabriel will get a few from set pieces. William Saliba will get a few from set pieces. We've got the defenders up there. Declan Rice scored 7 or 8 last season. That's fine. And that will keep us ticking over. And that seems to be how his mindset is. But that's not how you win league titles. It's not how you win anything, really. It isn't. It's not going to work because it hasn't worked 2 seasons in a row. So, but let's wait and see. He might prove us all wrong, and maybe we'll be sitting
can I
here.
just say one thing, Rich? One last thing is that basically I understand the clamour for a striker, centre forward. It's a no-brainer, but I think we've got to look at the Saka position and also if Odegaard, if those 2 went, I don't know, we'd be lopsided all over the place.
And Saliba,
who comes in and does what Odegaard does? Who can create space where there isn't any? Put that killer ball through.
Yeah,
no one. He's got to go in the middle.
It's certainly not Vieira, that's for sure.
No.
No. ESR could have maybe done it. ESR could have done it.
I agree. I still bewildered by that.
But
you know
he's
what?
gone now.
I really hope he does well for them. I really don't.
Yeah, I do.
He smashes it because I really like the kid, and he was Arsenal through and through, as right from practically being born, probably. And he was great. Like you guys were saying, he was instrumental in giving us credibility in those really bad couple of seasons with him and Saka. And I thought at the time, actually, he was probably better than Saka. I'll be quite honest with you. And I thought that more would come from him. As good as Saka is, and he is good. Don't get me wrong. Of course, everyone knows that. I thought ESL would even go on a level above. And look what's happened. We've lost him. Yeah. We've lost him. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I'm sure one day, ESR maybe bring a book out or something later on in his life, and maybe he'll go into all the details of what happened. But it's clear that there's been some issues with him and the manager along the way, and unfortunately, the result is that he's off and on his way to.
And did you see how? And did you see how devastated he looked? He was absolutely devastated. It's like when you might. I don't know if it's a change of job or a change of anything in life, and you just don't feel it's right, and you just feel gutted that you were happy where you were. And he just reminded me of that, seeing his face in those pictures and the videos. He looked completely lost, completely out of place. And it's like, what have I done wrong? You know, I was where I was supposed to be, and now I'm not anymore. And it's
Yeah.
Do you know what it reminded me of, Neil, when they got
Rocky.
exactly, Rocky.
I tweeted that. I said this reminds me of when Rocky was sold by George Graham. Exactly the same thing.
You know what? I think
Exactly the same thing.
Arteta bought Vieira because he was looking at Bernardo Silva, right? Same nationality, same type of player, same stamp. One of them's really strong and effective and incredible. And Vieira, as good as he is, he's a technical player. He's just like will-o'-the-wisp. And you compare the two players. So maybe Arteta's looked at Bernardo Silva and looked at Vieira and gone, Portuguese, both like similar playing style, but apples and oranges. I mean, small as he is, Bernardo, he dominates, doesn't he? He's unbelievable. Strength. And Vieira, just for whatever reason, just hasn't got it. So he would have been the replacement, as you said.
That's a fair point. So why doesn't Mikel Arteta look at Haaland and think, well, look at the difference a player like Haaland's made, and why don't he try and find a player similar? You're not going to find a player like Haaland, obviously. He's a one-off, but a player like that. And if he's looking at Man City and thinking, this is, we want to emulate the way that Pep plays, which obviously that's what he wants to do, and you need certain players to do that. Why is he not thinking of this centre forward? Because Haaland's revolutionised the way Man City play in the last 2 seasons, and they've gone on and won 5-6 trophies in the time he's been there.
Rich, they never interrupt you, mate. Sorry, but they never. No. They've done it without him for the 2-3 seasons before. So maybe Arteta's playing catch up, right? So suddenly they brought him in, Haaland, didn't they, a couple of years ago? And he's blown everything, but they were winning leagues. They were winning everything before that. So maybe in Arteta's head, he's thinking, well, do you know what I mean? He's playing catch up. What do they say about everything in the US comes over to here eventually? Maybe we're a year behind. Maybe he's on the old model of City where they never.
What's he waiting for though? Why is he waiting for 2 years? Why don't he just do it now?
I don't know. No idea. I think he just needs to. We need a striker. It's as simple as that. Otherwise,
we do.
And sorry to interrupt. So again, one more thing. I am really deeply disappointed that if we haven't finished business. I hate it overlapping into when the season starts. Last season, I thought we did it right. We got all our signings in before the season, and that's where the players can gel. They can get to know their teammates. They can get to know where they live. Because a lot of them come from overseas. It's difficult, going to a different country and then, I've got to play a professional football match for 90 minutes 3 times a week. You've got to adjust your climate as well, your surroundings. If you haven't got a language barrier, you've got to overcome those challenges. There's so many things to overcome. It's so much better to get it done at least 3 or 4 weeks before the actual season starts. And also, you might even be involved in a few friendlies as well to get used to how your team plays. Yeah. It doesn't make sense. I hate it when we get a transfer in and we've already played 3 games. I hate that.
Maybe
right. To me, the window should finish the Friday before the season starts. Everybody's got to get your transfers in before your first game. That's how it should be done, and it isn't because of, I suppose, all over Europe the league start on different weeks and stuff like that. I suppose maybe, but even so, it's ridiculous that we're going to probably end up playing 2 or 3 games before we next. If we do buy anybody else, we're going to have played 2 or 3 games. I mean, look at some of the games that we've got as well. We could easily have dropped points in those games that a striker that we'd bought 3 weeks ago could have got us those points. So, we don't know how it's going to work out, do we? But, I agree. I don't like that at all. It's ridiculous. But everyone waits for the deadline day, don't they? Because they think they can get a better deal done in the last minute. And that's what happens. And that's the problem with a deadline day. Is that it's always going to lead to people making the moves on that last moment you possibly can, and unfortunately the season's already up and running, it's away and points have been won and lost. I agree, I don't like it at all.
Tom says, Rich, Tom's point, how difficult it is. It's so much more difficult than say 10 years ago. You could have brought players in for pre-season, but now it's like a game of chess, isn't it? It's cat and mouse and everybody's waiting and you can't afford to spend too much money, and how many players can you get out the door? So the consequence of that is going on much later. So I'm sure, speaking for Arteta, he could be saying, well, I'd love to bring a player in for pre-season, but look at all these pieces that have to fit into the jigsaw. It's impossible. Impossible. I don't know.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And it is what it is. And of course, before the season starts, there's always a little thing called pre-season. We have played a few games, so we'll just have a quick look at some of those. Now, unlike social media in general, I don't think results in pre-season matter at all. And I don't care if there's a trophy that you win or you don't. It's irrelevant. What matters is players getting fitness, getting minutes on the pitch, working on certain aspects of your play and all this kind of stuff. That's what it's about. And, you know, our results were okay in pre-season. We had some good wins. I know we lost to Liverpool, but overall was okay. I thought the performances were... What I thought about pre-season was I haven't learned anything new. It looks to me as though everything's going to be pretty much as it's been for the last 2 seasons. And it's almost, as you said before, Lee, like, you know, they're doing the same things over and over again. And it's almost like that seems like that's what we're going to do. We're not changing anything. We're going to keep things as they are and hope and pray, as Neil said, that maybe Man City aren't quite as good for once, that they haven't been for the last 4 seasons. Hopefully they're not going to be quite on it this season, because there's the speculation over their charges. They know it might be Pep's last season, all things like this going on. And we know the effect that might have on them mentally as well. So it almost as though it feels to me as though we're relying on that rather than thinking, look, what can we do differently to close that gap? Well, in pre-season, we've done nothing different. We've looked exactly the same. We look very predictable. Yes, we've got some results, fair enough, but doesn't matter. But it's more about, to me, we haven't tried anything different, and we don't look as though we're going to do anything different this season. It hasn't particularly worked in terms of trophies in the last 2 or 3 years. What makes us believe it's going to be different this year? I mean, Tom, what have you made of pre-season? Because I think it's been same old again, hasn't it, for me, from what I've seen?
I was fairly disinterested in it because, like, basically, I mean, we have watched games, obviously, because it's the Arsenal. But it's 2 different points of view. You got the fans clambering and waiting for the season to kick off. And then you got the financial side where the club are interested in making lots of money and getting lots of profit in. So they went to the States, which was no surprise. So as you say, we didn't learn anything. It's to sell shirts. It's to put bums on seats. It's to get revenue. But for, you know, nothing, it's all irrelevant until you hit the season. It's all irrelevant till that first game with Wolves. So for me, it was nice to see the boys. It was nice to see a few decent touches, performances and all the rest of it. But it counts for nothing.
It doesn't, no. And I say, to me, it's not like we even saw anything to suggest that we're going to try anything a bit different this season to what we have done. It looks as everything was exactly the same. Everything's still going through Saka and Ødegaard. You know, we're quite good from corners and set pieces, which we were last season. Again, we're going to be dangerous from those situations. And we're not, for me, creating enough chances in open play again. That's what the theme of pre-season was, the theme of last season. I mean, what did you make of the pre-season games? Because I've not. I mean, Tom said he was disinterested. I must admit, I became disinterested because it's nothing. I was looking at it thinking, this is just like the last 2 seasons, nothing different. What have we got to think that things are going to change this season? Looking at what we've seen.
I'll confess.
Come on, Neil.
I'll confess. I refuse to pay the stupid money for Arsenal's website to see the games, and I'm not one of these that have those dodgy Fire Stick things. So I only got to see the 5-minute highlights of each game. So it's not a great analysis going to come from me. But I tend to agree from the reports I've read and the little snippets I saw. Nothing spectacular. Yeah, we saw Jesus probably looking a little bit more vigorous, shall we say, a little bit more in tune than we may have seen.
He always does in pre-season, Neil. He always does in pre-season.
I was about to say that. That's no indication of anything, really.
No.
You know, I thought Saliba and Gabriel looked solid as always, and they are. You know, that's the one consistent and one comfort that we have, that, you know, we can rely on a couple of players like of that magnitude that are thankfully in our club and not somewhere else, and they work well together. But you're right, most of the conducting was done by Ødegaard, as we come to expect. A lot of the running down the flanks was more on the right side for Saka. That's what I wanted to bring up. My concern is with Martinelli. I always thought that he was going to be something quite special. I always thought that he was going to be, you know, bag tons of goals. You know, his pace is frightening, and I don't know what seems to have happened. I was talking on another group, I think it was a purely WhatsApp group, and I said, to be honest, the best I've seen Martinelli ever play for us, or when he was the most frightening, was when he had Tierney behind him. And I know a lot of people will laugh at me, but I remember when he first
wasn't that when Unai Emery was manager?
Yes, correct. That's when Unai Emery was manager.
Why does that not surprise me? That we saw better performances when we had a different manager. Why does that not surprise me?
Well, I think from Martinelli especially, I don't. He just seems to maybe have lost confidence because he can run. He obviously can run. He's got the pace. He can even beat the first or second defender. But then he just seems to just freeze, and he can't You'd expect him to put those shots away. We've seen it in snippets. There was that goal, was it last season, where it reminded everyone of an Henry finish, and he's got it in his locker, but he just doesn't do it enough. He's another one that is he going to score more than 10 goals this season? I don't know. So for me, he's been a bit of a disappointment, and I hate to say that because I really like the guy. I really do like everything about him, but something's not quite right. I don't know whether he's upset that Trossard is getting more of a feature than he does on that side. I don't know. I mean, to be honest, Trossard's a great player. I really like him as well. And he's one guy that you can rely on. If he comes on as a sub, even if he doesn't score a goal, he will make things happen. He will change the dynamic and he will be positive.
Yeah, he does,
And the other thing that I saw, which I might have mentioned right at the start, was Partey in the last game. He looked good. If he plays like that, he's a great asset to the club if we keep him. I don't know if he's there. There was talk that he might even be going, but if he stays and he plays like that, he's got this thing about him where he can drive, put balls forward into right spaces to start an offence. He's not one of these that will do a backwards pass or a sideways pass. He's always looking forward and trying to drive the team. And he's a strong player, but his fitness is such a big question mark. So it hasn't really told me much, guys. I don't know about you. It hasn't really told me much. And like Tom says, I think he summed it up. At the end of the day, even if it was great what we saw, it's all really irrelevant until the real thing starts on Saturday. So it's a hard one, Rich, to really properly analyse. But I'm just disappointed we haven't got more new players to look at. That was
I'd like to pick up on that Martinelli thing, because for a couple of seasons, I mean, we seem really lopsided and right-sided biased because everything goes down that right side, and there's options on the left very, very often, and we don't take them. People standing there, you can see them waving, looking for the ball. Don't get it down that left-hand side. Until we solve that left-hand side, obviously we were without Julian Timber. He got injured early on. So that might have been a case. And we got found out with Zinchenko. Great going forward, great going into the midfield, but going backwards, the wheels on the bike don't work. So for me, like you said, Neil, Kieran Tierney managed to get down there, managed to offload. If you kick a ball down there for Martinelli, he's going to get it. He's going to be in the hunt for it. But too often, we don't go through the middle enough. We go down the right-hand side all the time. Block that out. You've got Arsenal. Don't give them room. Don't give them any space. Don't give them time to be artistic. And that's where you lose your games.
But as you say, and we've said it for the last couple of the predictability. We're going to get Odegaard on the ball. We're looking for Saka. And as you're saying, lopsided, we're probably about, coming up with a percentage off the top of my head, 70-75% on the right-hand side, 25% on the left. It needs to be 60-40 minimum. And Martinelli, he's unbelievable. I mean, in certain games, he just looks like a world beater, but then he disappears. He is a flash in the pan, but he's underperforming. Same as Jesus. They both could be a lot more reliable in terms of, like, it's all about, you talk to any professional and they say the most hardest thing to do is consistency in football. That's the key. Sounds simple, right? And if you bang on if you're an 8 out of 10 every week, right, you're going to be there or thereabouts. But the trouble with Martinelli, he's a 9, a 9.5, then he goes down to a 5 and a 6, up and down. So you can't rely on him. So you're a manager, you're looking at him or Trossard. I mean, Arteta must be like just spinning coins, thinking, what does he look like, Martinelli? Do I fancy him or should I go? There's not a lot in it. I think he prefers Martinelli because there's nothing more devastating in football than pace. There just isn't, right? So he's thinking, well, if he's on it today, he's a devastating weapon. But for whatever reason, it's Odegaard stands on the ball, goes left, goes right, and it's looking straight away to go out to the right hand side. So I don't know what it is. Maybe Timber will make a difference. And we'll say about Zinchenko, I do think absolutely he's a liability as a left back. But remember, he's like a plumber doing tiling. He's not a left back, right? He should be. He's not. We can't forget that. He plays midfield for the Ukraine. For me, he's arguably our second best footballer in our team. Odegaard 1, Partey and Zinchenko number 2. He's a beautiful footballer, unbelievable, right? So we have so many games at home where teams are just going to sit back. Well, we can lose whatever real left back we've got, and we can play Zinchenko in those games, right? We could get caught with a ball over the top, but it's the games against the big six, Liverpool away, United, then Zinchenko don't get anywhere near that position. But at home, right, when teams sit deep, he's another attacker. He's a left back, steps in the midfield, and he's pulling the strings in the last game, winning the pre-season game. He's a great footballer, but he's just not a left back. So horses for courses, we can kind of use him for certain games. But yeah, I kind of agree with you, Tom, a bit, and you, Rich, about what are we using these pre-season games for? Fitness and maybe try something different. And it has been much of the same. I mean, we don't want to get onto a wins fest. We did come second and it was close, but surely a bit of variety, the spice of life, so they tell me. Try something different. Go at it from a different angle. I mean, it's great to be good at the free kick. We can't underestimate the free kicks and the corners, because we were diabolical for years. And now, you know, the Rice floating corner and the flick on and Gabriel, that could get us over the line. So there's improvements. It's just that little bit of devilment. We'll try something different. I mean, maybe we'll get lucky. Maybe this is when Jesus will turn up and suddenly will be the player that he really could be. But
I mean, my take from pre-season was, I mean, obviously the Olympics was on, and watching Arsenal is like watching the synchronized swimming, isn't it? It's all so that's what it's like. Yeah. Everybody's got their role. Everybody does it exactly the same way. And it looks, when it works and it's brilliant, it looks really nice. But it's like you said, Lee, that's not enough. That's just not enough. It hasn't been enough to get us over the line, and nothing is screaming out to me. I remember 2 years ago in pre-season, I think, you know, when Jesus had first joined, and we saw a big change because the previous 2 seasons has been not very good, and we'd thrown away the top 4 the year before and all that kind of stuff, right? Jesus came in, we looked that pre-season, I think we all sat here and we were thinking, you know what, this season might be different. Yeah. And it was different in the fact it was better than the previous season, but we still didn't manage to get it over the line. Last season was pretty much the same. We looked at the start of last season, I'm thinking not much has changed really. Okay, yeah, Timber's injury didn't help because he might have given us a different dynamic as he might do this season. And this season, it's almost like it's got very stale to me looking at it, very stale and very predictable. And I don't know. Yeah, we need, I think, to win league titles, particularly in this current era, you do need to be able to do something different, offer something different in some games, because not all games are going to go your way, as we saw last season. And we haven't got that unpredictability. We haven't got players who can come on and do something different, because even the players that come on, they're exactly the same as the players that's come off. They're just not quite as good. They do exactly the same job, just not as well. Usually, Vieira might replace Ødegaard, and he's a very similar player, but he's not as good. You know, we've got Nelson might come on and replace Saka. He's a similar player, but he's not as good. And that's the problem we've got throughout the whole team. And we talked about Zinchenko, right? And I don't care how good a footballer he is. I can't stand the guy. He's a liability, and he shouldn't be anywhere near this team. And that's why they're giving him a lower number. Don't give him a lower number. Give him a higher number, like number 254. Get him on a plane. Get rid of him. He's absolutely useless. And he may well be a brilliant footballer, but I don't see that. All I see is him making mistakes, giving away goals, losing the ball in stupid positions, not getting back, not doing anything defensively. And I don't want to see him play for Arsenal anymore. I don't care that he played well in pre-season. I don't care that he scored a goal the other day, which was a nice goal. Well done, Zinchenko. Brilliant. Now get on the plane, go back to where you came from, and never bother us again.
I disagree. I'd still have him for his for the games for the games when teams are just sitting back and they get 11 players behind the ball. For that, because he does unlock defenses. He's one of you talking about doing the same thing, Rich. And you know, we like going to the left and the right, and we go back across, right? And we go back across again. Yeah. He's the one player who gets the ball and he'll look on his left foot to knock it.
And then he'll lose it. There'll be a massive space behind him. We'll concede a goal.
He might, but we were saying, but you can't have it both ways. You can't have predictability. He's the one player. Guess what?
No, you want your unpredictability in the final third, not with your left back. You want your left back to be a left back and be able to defend and stop the ball going in your net.
He ain't a left back.
Why isn't he playing at left back then? Whose fault's that? If he's not a left back and he's playing at left back, making mistakes, whose fault's that if it's not his? It's the manager then.
Horses for courses. He will make mistakes, but that's the what did I say? That's the trade-off, right? The trade-off. You don't want to be drawing at home 0-0 against Southampton, right? So you've got him stepping into midfield. It's another option. It's another. Yeah, he is liable to screw up. You don't play him in the games away at Old Trafford, City, not a chance. But the home games, I think you're playing Because even
Most
if
of
he
our
does make
home games
mistakes-
we could all play, Lee. Most of our home games we could all play because we've got the ball all the time, and we're not under any pressure most of the time in our home games. I could play left back in that Premier League in that Arsenal team in a game at the Emirates because all I'd have to do is get the ball and give it to Odegaard. Simple. I could
but
do that.
He does step into midfield and he's looking to play it forward.
And then he loses the ball, and we've got no one to cover apart from Martinelli, who's having to run miles back the other way to cover for Zinchenko's mistakes.
Generally at home, I'd say you can get away with it a lot more because generally we're more dominant, and sooner or later we are going to score. But I'd keep him. I'm not. He seems to have upset you for whatever reason, because he is.
Because he keeps making mistakes and costing us goals. That's why.
Rich, I'm surprised it took you 40 minutes to have your rant. Bloody,
No,
that's
not
the record.
It's getting a bit slow,
As
isn't
soon
it?
as I just hear his name, as soon as I just think about him, it upsets me.
It's going
It
soft.
upsets me.
He's
I think he's going soft. I think he truly believes we're winning the league this season. That's why.
Rich, name me a better footballer. Forget about making mistakes for a second. You'll say, well, of course, mistakes are relevant. Name me 3 better footballers than Zinchenko in our team on the ball.
Every single person in that team. Every single one in that team.
You've beaten me. You've beaten
Even
me.
Ramsdale. Even Ramsdale's better on the ball than Zinchenko.
No, he ain't. I'll stick with it. Third best player for me on the ball. Does make mistakes. I grant you. I'll give you that. But to me, he's looking to play the ball forward. He's not looking to go out to the side and back. You know, we get into our drum beat. You can almost play a drum to it, and we go left, back into the middle, back out to the right, and we're all thinking, "Come on, do something different." At least he's looking to play the ball forward. For that reason, I'd have him in the team.
Can we have a couple of positives to look forward to? Oh, sorry, Tom, go on.
We should have a lot of positives.
I'll be a lot more positive if we sold Zinchenko and not ESR. I'd be a lot more positive.
Please. Go on, Tom. You go.
Anyway.
Calafiori. Hadn't heard of him until it was all a done deal and it was going through and stuff. And it looks, if you look at the back line, we look overly solid. Why has he bought him? You know, we've got Tommy Asu and we've got Kieran Tierney. I know he's injured and all the rest of it, but we're pretty solid at the back, haven't we? Ben White, Gabriel.
Yeah. It's the last position we needed to strengthen, really, wasn't it?
But this is the point. I mean, I started thinking, why has he bought him? And started looking at the way he plays the ball. And I think he might have another plan for him. I think he might push him forward a little bit. I think he might see him as a progressive midfielder because he can play the ball. He really is good on the ball, very comfortable, can play a killer pass. I mean, you saw that in the Euros. I mean, he is really, really solid. And I'm wondering whether he slots into the old Manny Petit role. It could be. I mean, because you ask yourself questions, you think, well, we're really solid at the back. We should be concentrating on other areas.
He can play in 3 positions, as you say, Tom. He could play the Manny Petit. He's so strong, good on the ball, good going forward. Play left back, and could he play in the centre as well? I think so. Yeah. So you're getting a lot of bang for your buck, aren't you?
Yeah.
I think he's a good signing in the squad. I mean, I think he can cover Gabriel as a centre back if Gabriel was to get injured, which we didn't have anyone to cover that last season. He's obviously better than Kirior, so I think that's a bonus. If it means he could play left back, which means we get rid of our current left back, which will be a bonus as well. So that's a good thing. And I don't know about the midfield position for him. If I'm honest, I've not seen him play there. And although he might be comfortable bringing the ball out of defence, which he seems as though he is, that's a different job to actually being in midfield, isn't it? I mean, Manu Petit made that transition from a centre-back to a midfield player. Arsene Wenger kind of helped that along the way, didn't he, when he brought him in? But it is possible to be done. And he's still a young player. Let's see how he develops. I mean, I'm happy with the signing. I think he's a good player and he'll be a good squad player to have. I don't think he's going to play much to begin with. I think he's more cover for 2 or 3 different positions to begin with, and then he'll work his way in, and he might get a chance if someone's out injured or rotation in the cup competitions or Champions League groups or whatever. But I'm not expecting him to come straight in the team and play every week. But yeah, I think he looks a good signing. He looks a good player, and let's hope that he can contribute positively. But it's not the position that we really needed to be filled. It's not the position that we need particularly. As good a player as he's going to be, probably. But anyway, let's see.
To be fair, all the defensive mates, save for Gabriel and Saliba, who are stalwart centre backs. All the other defenders that we got in there are pretty much versatile. If you think about it, Ben White wasn't brought in as a right back, was he? He was brought in as a centre back. You got Timber, who can probably play two or three of the positions in defence. You got Tommy Asu, who can play left and right and centre back. I've heard. Yeah. So I think that's what he's like. He's got so much versatility. The defence is not a worry whatsoever. It is this issue about cover for certain key players, which I don't think we've got, and then of course a finisher. That again, look, I know Terry hates me for saying it, but I thought Havertz done tremendously well from January onwards. I think he was probably one of the best players, if not the best player for us. Yeah. But how long can he even if it doesn't drop any levels? Let's put it into context. If he doesn't drop any levels and he still plays consistently good, he can't do that for all the Champions League games, all the Premiership games, all the cup games, domestic cup games. He can't do it. No. So we still will need someone there to come in for that position, and that is my worry. And I think if we don't get that striker in, whatever it might look like, but I understand it's very difficult to find a player that's suitable. I get it, but that's why these managers earn millions a year. That's what they do.
For Arsenal Football Club,
yeah, exactly.
Surely to God, and I'm not underestimating what Tom's saying. He's right. It's more difficult, but one striker on the globe.
It's got to be.
It's got to be one, isn't it?
Yeah, I agree. It's difficult, but it's got to be something.
Yeah. No, there is. I like Michael's comment. How you doing, Michael? Good to see you, my friend. He says, evening all, great to see you all. Agree with Tom. He says, evening, gents. Doesn't a Calafiore push Zinchenko down the pecking order? Well, let's hope so, because if he does, he'll be my favourite new player. And also, Timber's back as well, isn't he, this season? No. Timber's almost like a new signing, because he only played sort of about 20 minutes last season, didn't he? So, and he's a left-sided player as well. So hopefully, but they've given Zinchenko a new number. They've given him a new number, so he's not going anywhere, is he? Let's be honest. He's not. Unless they just wanted to sell a few shirts and get rid of him. Maybe that's what they're doing. I don't know. Sell a few shirts. Who would actually buy a Zinchenko shirt? Come on, put your hand up. Would you buy a Zinchenko shirt? No, you wouldn't.
I don't buy any shirts, really. Anyway.
You wouldn't buy a shirt, Lee, would you? As much as you like him, you're not going to buy a shirt either. Come on.
I never put current players' names on the shirts now. Never, because there's no loyalty. Like the old Adams days and the Matt Letizia days, there's no loyalty anymore. So I'll never do that. I'll only put a legend. If I do put a name, it'll be a legend, a proper legend. That is.
Neil, the shirts cost £80 without a name. You think you're going to get a name on as well? Because I'm not. I'm not paying another 25 quid to get someone's name on.
You're spending 100 quid just on a shirt. Absolutely.
Plus, Zinchenko's got too many letters anyway. And Zed's, if it's like Scrabble, Zed's are worth about like 25 quid more, aren't they?
So I think we need to move away from Zinchenko talk. Richard's going to explode.
Yeah.
So no.
Can I just say from just to try and put a little. I know Lee, you were being positive with Zinchenko. I didn't mean to say otherwise. But just looking at a little bit of maybe some good stuff ahead for us. The fact that Timber's there, like you said, is like a new signing. I think he's going to be absolutely tremendous. I think the way Rice had an impact for us, and then I suppose Havertz a bit later on. I think Timber's going to be absolutely brilliant this season for us. Then we've got potentially, I hope, Ethan, who might get some games, because he's obviously moved now into the senior team. And I think the way he was kind of using him in the friendlies does suggest that he's going to have a bit of a senior role this season. And, from what I've heard and what I've seen of him, I don't follow the academy football as much as I should, but I've heard that there's just so much good about this kid. That hopefully that he can be someone that can unlock some doors for us in some tricky games, maybe. So there are, and of course the guy you just mentioned, our actual proper official signing. Let's see what he can bring to the table if and when he's used. So they're almost like three new signings in itself. Although we've only got one official signing, those are like three, I guess, new senior players that we might see a little bit more of. But for me, the big one is Timber. I'm so looking forward to seeing this guy play. I think he could really make a difference. And who knows? He might be the spark Martinelli needs. And we might see a completely new Martinelli. We don't know. Yeah. Who knows?
And Calafiore's got nice hair as well. So that's always a bonus, isn't it? That's a positive as well. He's got great hair. And I think that's quite important when you're signing a player as well. They've got to be good. Yeah. They've got to have good hair.
Charlie Nicholas. It's all about the hair. Charlie.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. Charlie. Yeah.
Talking of Charlie Nicholas. What I thought we'd do quickly before we actually look at Wolves. Obviously, we've had some great opening days over the years and some bad ones as well, but some great memories. Obviously, I put Charlie Nicholas in there because that's probably my favourite opening day, the season when he signed, and all the furore that went around him when he came out of the tunnel, and the players were all a bit different, wasn't it, at the time? So that was probably my favourite opening day, just for what it meant for me as a 15-year-old seeing Charlie Nicholas play for Arsenal. But obviously we've had better opening days and worse opening days over the years. Lee, I know you was quite excited about talking about this. What would be your favourite or maybe not favourite opening day? Because there's been a lot of both over the years.
Yeah, it's funny. I suppose you said memorable, and I kind of my first memories was the Arsenal versus Leeds Saturday, going back August '78. What was I, about 11 or 12? Liam Brady got that goal from the corner of the box, the left foot arrow. We drew 2-2.
Oh yeah.
It was a fan outside of his left boot, not a curler like against Tottenham. It was just it was like an arrow, top corner. So that was my first memory. Nice. It's always a nice hot Saturday afternoon, wasn't it? And you'd missed
Usually,
and you were so excited. So that's my first memory. And a later memory, funny enough, was about 1920s when Liverpool got that super. They made 2 or 3 brilliant signings. Barnes, Beardsley.
Yes. That was the hottest day ever, that, wasn't it? Do you remember? That was so hot.
It was hot for me because Rich, I was gutted because I was on holiday. I was in Rhodes and I couldn't be there. And it was Arsenal Liverpool first game, 87, 88. So on top of a roof in Lindos in Rhodes with my little radio, right up there burning in the front with a tiny little umbrella, a $3.99 umbrella with factor 50 on. Like I come down with heat stroke, but the only place I could get signals on top of the roof. So, and we lost 2-1 against an unbelievable. They went on to win the league, didn't they? Playing, arguably, I've seen the best football, some of the best football I've seen. That Liverpool side, that's 87, 88 team where the football they played was. We're on an Arsenal podcast. I should remember that, but it was fantastic.
No, you're right. Absolutely.
I remember us losing that much at home. And they'd done us first day, boiling hot, as you say, 2-1, didn't they? I think Beardsley and Barnes might have scored.
No, I think it was Aldridge. I think it was Aldridge and Barnes scored.
Aldridge and Barnes, yeah, good memory, Rich. So that one sticks out. And then the Invincible season, another hot day, I think, from memory. Thomas Gravison tussling with Vieira. Vieira got sent off, didn't he? But we scored 2, didn't we? 2-0 up with 10 men.
Yeah, it was 2-0 up,
Yeah, and then they scored towards the end.
Wasn't it Sol Campbell that got sent off in that game?
Was it Sol Campbell or was it Vieira? Now you got me doubting. I thought it was.
I think Vieira got sent off at Sunderland in the first game a couple of years before.
Oh, you might. I
might be wrong. I just got a feeling it was Sol Campbell that got sent off in that game.
You might be right. I didn't do my research before. I'm doing it from my memory, but you could well be right. But we hung on and won. And I think the next home game, or maybe the home game after, so it was kind of squeaky bum. We had the famous Robert Perez. I won't say dive. I will say dive.
Well, it was a dive, so we can say it's a dive.
We can say it. It was a bit late now against Portsmouth when Sheringham scored, didn't he? And he gave it 1-0 to Portsmouth of all the players to score. Yeah. And then Bobby went up and had a dive up. And we drew 1-1, and the rest is history. So
that was a week before that game at Old Trafford, wasn't it, where Van Nistelrooy missed that penalty? That was a week before that.
Yeah. So we dodged a few bullets that season, didn't we?
We did, definitely did. But yeah.
So that was.
I remember the Everton game, because we were hanging on with 10 men, and we won, and that kind of summed up that team, though, didn't it? No matter what happens, going down to 10 men or whatever it was, we found a way, didn't we, to get the result.
Yeah, a lot of fighters in that team, Rich. People go on about talent, but you had a team of 6'2".
They were all leaders as well, weren't they? There was like 8 leaders in that team, 8 or 9 leaders every single week, and that's why we did what we did.
Well, funny enough, I was listening to Talk Sport late the other night, and I had David Bentley on, and he was saying people don't realise the most evilest player in that Arsenal team, the nastiest player. Who was it? Dennis Bergkamp.
Bergkamp,
Not many people would think that, would they? And when you think of the other monsters in that team, no wonder we were so good. Talented, evil, they had the lot. So happy days.
They didn't have very nice hair, though, did they? Most of them. That was the problem.
Not really, no, Keown.
Apart from David Seaman, he had nice hair, didn't he? With his ponytail and that.
Yeah, Reyes had decent hair. God rest his soul, didn't he?
No, yeah, I suppose, yeah, he did actually. I suppose Perez did as well, didn't he? To be fair,
Yeah,
he looks a bit cool, didn't he?
Yeah.
But no, that was
Sponsored by L'Oreal.
L'Oreal.
Yeah.
Laurent.
Yeah. I mean, Tom, what sort of your opening day memories in good and bad? Because I say there's been lots of both that I can remember.
Yeah, there's been some terrible results. I mean, basically for me, when the season kicks off, I don't really care who we're playing. I just want to actually experience it all over again. It was incredible when we were at Highbury, especially. I mean, I'm so fond of Highbury. And then on the opening day, if you were lucky to get a ticket, which I knew someone who was in the print who used to throw me a few tickets here and there. It's just the whole experience of going to the match again, new season, new expectations, hope. And sometimes we lost the hope after the game, after the whistle. But yeah, I mean, the whole experience of rocking up to that stadium, going up the old staircase, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And it's the same. You're like a kid, really. It's starting again. We've had our disappointments and everything else, but you're looking forward to that season and what it brings, and hopefully it brings the Premier League title. Because I think City, behind the scenes, by the way, a bit of positivity for you, Neil. I think they're going somewhere that they don't want to go.
We're talking
they're going
FFP.
They're going.
I think it's FFP, but I think there's trouble behind the scenes. It comes across. Pep's not his normally upbeat self. He seems a little bit preoccupied with stuff. I just got a feeling it's all slipping slowly. They've got to bang them to rights with this 115 charges. It's just been left. It's easy to jump on Everton, isn't it, and Forest?
Exactly.
But the main people that are breaking the rules, they're not interested. They're left on the back burner. And I think there's a lot of shit behind the scenes going on. And I think Pep, if this isn't his last season, I think it's next season. He's going to go. I mean, it's too much. As a manager, you don't want all this subtext, do you?
No,
I think all the teams go through their peaks and troughs, don't you? And I think now this might be the start of Man City's slight dip, because they've done everything, haven't they?
Yeah.
The treble, they've equalled Man United's record. They've done 4 titles in a row, which is a bit unprecedented. The only thing they ain't done is the Invincibles, which is still ours, thank goodness. But yeah, I mean, I think that we could see a little bit of hopefully a dip. But it's got to come at some point, because it's a football cycle. It happens to all the best of clubs. Liverpool dominated, Man United dominated, and now look at those two. We were kind of up there and thereabouts, kind of all throughout the decades, and we still are now. But the big ones which have had unprecedented success, even Chelsea with their millions under Mourinho, were winning everything and the dominant, and they're now floundering, aren't they? So I think it's a cycle, and maybe it's our time now. Maybe it's our time. Hopefully,
it's our time, Neil. We have to press home the advantage. It's no good.
Yeah.
Second, this really is, because Chelsea, Man United, Liverpool, they're going to come again, aren't they? They
of course they are. It's without a question of a doubt.
Don't forget, everybody's going to look at it and think that if Man City do have a dip, it's not just us that's going to be thinking, oh, it could be our year. There's going to be 4 or 5 other teams thinking exactly the same. Lee's right. We've got to make sure that if Man City do have a dip for all these reasons, that we need to be the ones that's going to take advantage of that, as Leicester did those years ago when a similar situation happened where the league was up for grabs, really, for someone unexpected. Not that it'd be unexpected for us in a way, but we need to be the ones that's going to take that on and say, right, we are going to, we've got to be as consistent as we've been. And if Man City aren't there, then we need to be the ones. But yeah, let's see. But Neil, some opening day memories from you. Come on, there must be loads.
There are. I mean, the one just because it's probably a little bit apt, because we lost, bless him, Kevin Campbell, only a couple of months ago, and it was the win against Man City. I think it's 94-95, but I could be wrong.
It
was 3-0, and I think he scored the opener. Smith was sandwiched between, and even Wright, who got the winner at the third goal at the end. That was an assist from Campbell. So I just wanted to highlight that because of just a little tribute to him. That was really sad. I mean, he was of no age, and I as a kid used to go to Highbury and watch him, and it's just crazy, isn't it? And then he came on he started, you know, making himself known on podcasts and the social media, and you know, he's one of the few ex-players that would actually kind of respond to you if you sent him a tweet or something, and that was nice because a lot of the players, number one, I think a lot of them don't even manage their own accounts anyway. I think they've got someone managing it for them, but I think he genuinely did manage his own, and he did respond to you, and you know, he was likable. I think everyone spoke of him very highly. The people that he worked with in the Sky Studios absolutely adored him, and it was a sad loss. So I just wanted to remember and highlight that opening game because he was instrumental in that win. And just for the sake of it, we obviously a little bit of a funny one quite recently. Fairly recently. Where it's probably the only game he played well in, where we beat Fulham 3-0, and it was Willian, wasn't it? And it was probably his best and only game.
It was his best game
for Arsenal. We saw that opening game, and I'm like, oh my God, what a signing! What a player! And then what happened?
Yeah.
So they're the two. But I mean, obviously there's plenty. But I think I just want to echo what Tom said. I think that's very apt. It's not just about what we see after night, or, you know, during, and then how we feel after the full-time whistle. It's actually the build-up, the fact, wow, another season started. You've got hopes and new hopes and desires and dreams. You know, could we get to the FA Cup final again? Could we be at Wembley again? You know, are we going to be challenging for the title? What's going to happen? Is there going to be any controversies? Who's the first manager? Because he's going to get sacked. You know, all of that stuff starts creeping into your mind. And you know, are Tottenham going to do the same old and be rubbish as they are every season? You know, that kind of stuff. You know, so it's always nice to look forward to a new season for sure.
I love the first game of the season because everybody starts afresh. Everyone's got 0 points. You're not ahead or behind anybody else. You've all got the same. You're all starting from the same place, and I kind of like that. The only thing now, obviously, they move all the games. So you've got a game on a Friday, you've got games on Saturday lunchtime, you've got Sunday. They should all be, the first and the last game should all be played together, I think. If you're not going to do anything else, at least do those 2 days where all the teams play at the same time at 3 o'clock on a Saturday. Just do it once a season. It'd be great for the first game. Because that used to be great, didn't it? You know, you'd come back on the train after the first game and you'd be listening to the radio or trying to find out how everyone else had got on. Especially if you'd maybe won 3-0, you think, we might be top of the league, especially back in the day when we was never top of the league and stuff like that, you know. So, you know, that's the first day was all about that. And now they completely ruined it because there's a game on Friday night. Yeah. So, you know, it's just pointless. But anyway, you're right, O'Neill. And it is great. And it's so much to look forward to. Yeah. And I say, in some seasons, it's that optimism's lasted 10 minutes. And then we're 2-0 down. It's like, okay, fair enough. And other times it lasts until April. As it has done or May even, as last season.
Rich,
but no, you're right. It's nice.
Favourite opening games, Rich? You haven't said yours yet, have you, mate?
I mean, my favourite opening game ever was that Luton game, Charlie Nicholas' debut in '83, 100%, because it was just the best signing I'd ever seen us make up to that point, you know. And I think I was 15 at the time. It was a great kind of time to be alive. And I don't know if you remember, Lee. I don't know if you was at that game, but suddenly everything was different. David Dean had joined the board that summer. Yeah. We'd gone from having a marching band on the pitch, which we'd done for the previous 50 years. They suddenly had a DJ playing records. Who's Kevin Connolly, I think his name was. And that was the first time we'd ever had that. We had a big razzmatazz entrance when all the players their name was read, said one individual came out one at a time. I only did it that one game, the only time it's ever happened. Yeah. But it was a big razzmatazz thing, and it was something really special. And I must admit, we won that game. We didn't play particularly well. We won. And Charlie Nicholas didn't play particularly well either. But I came away from that game thinking, we're going to win everything. We're going to win every single match this season. We're not going to lose a game. We finished 8th or something stupid, and Terry Neal got sacked about 3 months later, and we lost to Walsall in the cup. But coming out of that game that day, the sun was out. We won 2-1. Charlie Nicholas had played, and it was fantastic. And I thought we were going to win everything that year. And that optimism lasted about 4 games, and then we lost a few, and that was it. I think our second home game was against Liverpool. They beat us 2-0. We're like, okay, fair enough. We're not going to win the league. We're still not good enough.
But Rich, only football can do that. Only football can. That feeling you had of euphoria as you were leaving the ground, only football can do that. It doesn't matter what then transpired afterwards, but that's how powerful it is. And this is why I don't understand. If people don't like football or don't understand it, that's fine. Everyone's different. They've got their own, likes and dislikes in life. But then don't try and belittle someone who does it. Oh, it's only a game. What would you get so excited for? Well, it's not just about watching men kick a ball around the pitch. It's the whole thing. It's the whole thing. It's so much emotion is invoked. You don't understand, and how it can even change your mood. You could be going through a real rubbish time in life, and then you could watch one game of your favourite team and your favourite players, and they can just lift you and inspire you, and it can really encourage you. There's just so much more to it than it being just a game with 11 aside kicking a ball around the pitch. It's not about that at all. People just need to be a bit more respectful. I really can't abide with it. It's just a game. Would you want to? What are you wasting your time going to a football match for? You don't understand, so just keep quiet.
No.
You're right. Absolutely, you're right. Absolutely right. It's not a. Football's not about 90 minutes of football. That's the whole thing. It's not about that. That's part of it. Of course it is, and obviously the result and that and the performance is a big part of it. But that's only a small part of the whole experience of it, because it does consume your life too much. Probably, let's be honest, it consumes our life too much. We spend far too long thinking about football. We spend far too long worrying about the results and what other teams are doing and all this, that, and the other. Right? We waste our life. We've wasted, I don't know how many years we've wasted of our life worrying about stuff that we can't even control. We've got no control over. We just go there on a Saturday, watch the game, and it's like there's nothing we can do. We can shout and scream and sing whatever it is. It's not making any difference ultimately. We're going to win or we're going to lose because of the play.
Right, Rich, you know what? When you say it's only a small part of it, you're completely right, because you're worried about the game before. And obviously you got the stress of the 90 minutes, and then I spend especially the last two seasons when we've been challenging. I spend the last 5 minutes getting a massive headache.
Yeah,
like my head. I'm thinking if they score and it's going to ruin. I'm going to leave. It's say 5 o'clock. I might want to go down, walk down up the street, have a beer, meet. The weekend's finished, finished. And my other half, she just don't understand. She's like, well, done. I'm like, just don't talk to me, and just the pacing around the house. Even when Man City were playing, and I'm like, please don't score in the like when they were 1-1. I was in the garage. She said just get out. So I'm standing in the garage with that. I know they're going to score. They're going to get so wound up, and we weren't even playing. Yeah. It was such a big result.
I've stopped doing that now. When we're not playing and other teams are playing, I don't want to watch that game because I don't want to put myself through it. So I've distanced myself from that now. It's bad enough suffering when Arsenal are playing.
Yeah, you always say, you're classic. You say to me, "What? Don't worry about it. You can't control it." And I'm like, "But if City are 1-1 and there's 5 minutes to go, if they score, my night's ruined."
Yeah, I completely get that, Lee. That is, it's almost like it's like a double-edged sword in a weird way, because when we're doing well and we're on the cusp of something, it's actually worse for our health.
It's worse. It's worse. Oh yeah.
It's worse. When we know that we've got nothing and the season's over, we kind of relax a little bit more. And it's like, well, yeah, we're good to get a win, but if it doesn't, well, we're expecting anyway. It's really bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah.
So in a weird way.
Yeah, I kind of enjoyed them 2 seasons when we finished 8th, because it's like there's nothing to worry about. We're just rubbish. We're just absolutely rubbish. So let's just accept it and crack on. But when, like you said, the closer you get to being good and the closer you get to winning something, it's 10 times worse, because every single defeat hurts more. If you're 8th in the league, and we lost a few games that season. I remember losing at home to Everton 1-0 when there was an protest. I didn't care we'd lost the game. It didn't matter. We were crap. So what? You know what I mean? But now when you're challenging for league titles and you lose a game, that's when it really hurts more, doesn't it? Because you know how important that those 3 points would have been. And you know what I mean? And it does make you're right. It's weird, because you should be happy, but you're not, because you're more stressed.
Yeah,
you can't relax and you can't enjoy the games, because it's too, unless you're 5-0 up with 10 minutes to go, then you might be able to enjoy it.
Look at us four. We're all in our 20s, but you think that we'd be shooting our sort of combined age of 160, wouldn't you? Look at us.
I'm 23 next week. I mean, the last 7 or 8 games, how stressful was that? I remember watching the game in Fulham, that God knows why. I was in a pub, and I think we were, we literally had to win every single game. There was no room. So you're sitting there, so you're stressed from minute 1, aren't you? Waiting for waiting for the roof to fall in. And it's like, it's the weekend. I should be relaxing. I'm sitting. I'd hate watching Arsenal in the pub, because there's other people say something. And I'm sitting. My missus is going, just relax, just enjoy the game. It's just killing me. You know what I mean? It's killing me.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You can't enjoy it. I don't think you can enjoy a title challenge until it's over and you've won.
No,
the only time you can't enjoy it in the last 10, 15 games of a title change. You can't enjoy any of them
no.
at all. Even if you win the game, then you're worried, oh, Man City going to win this afternoon or tomorrow
Guys,
or whenever it
even
is.
the Invincible year, we'd already won the league, but it was still so much pressure because we wanted to make sure.
Well, because we wanted to go unbeaten. Yeah.
But
So
even that
was a
year where
different.
we dominated,
Yeah.
we couldn't even relax. It's ridiculous. And then it was even worse when Leicester Blooming scored. It was one of our ex-players, wasn't it, that scored the opening goal?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
God.
No, I mean it's weird, isn't it? It's weird that you want to see success, and success is great, but it doesn't really help your mental health, does it? Let's be honest. It doesn't.
Talking of opening games, Rich, I mean, the worst one's got to be just recently, isn't it? 3 losses, no goals. I mean, we were down the bottom. I mean, that was.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, I didn't even want to go to work.
Brentford.
So many. Yeah, no, it was bad. But the upside for me was I was kind of convinced that they were going to get rid of the manager, so I'd have been really happy. And I thought this is the best thing that could happen. And they didn't. They kept him, and we still got him now. 2 years later, 2 years later, here we are. Here we are, still with him. But anyway, it's improved slightly.
I can't believe the 2 games I was going to mention. I thought I'm not going to mention them because everybody's going to mention these opening games. When we got done by Norwich the first game of the season away.
Yeah, that was mad.
You know, 16 stone Mickey Quinn for Coventry.
The hat-trick.
3-0. Unbelievable. Yeah. Anyway.
And you know what's interesting about that, Lee? He's the last visiting player to score a hat-trick away at Arsenal in the league.
Unbelievable.
1993, first game of the season. Incredible, that, isn't it? That no other player scored a hat-trick away at Arsenal since then. That's just madness.
Mr. Jim
Mickey Quinn.
Never seen the inside of it. Says me.
Incredible. That was a mad game, that actually, wasn't it? Because we was all over them, and then we lost 3-0. And it's like, oh, right, okay. How did that happen? But anyway, we won a European trophy that season, so it didn't really matter in the end. It didn't matter, did it? Yeah. I'll take an opening day. Funny enough, there was a few seasons where we lost on the opening day and we won a trophy. Obviously, 92, we won 2 cups. We lost to Norwich. The following year, we lost to Coventry. We won the Cup Winners' Cup, didn't we?
Yeah.
In 2013, 2014, we lost to Villa on the first day, won the FA Cup.
That's right.
It seemed to be like it seemed to be a theme where we'd lose an opening day, and then especially at home, we'd lose at home on the opening day, and we'd end up winning a trophy. So maybe on Saturday, if we lose, let's not worry. It means we're going to win a trophy. Yeah, that's what it means.
Maybe.
So let's not worry. But talking about Saturday, let's have a little look ahead to our first game. Excited. Now, I've got to be honest, I quite like Wolves. I don't know why. I just quite like them. They're one of them sort of teams in the Premier League. It's kind of nice to have them in the Premier League. They're a very historic club, one of the original members of the Football League, and they've got a great history, and they've had their ups and downs and what have you. But I kind of quite like them. I've got a bit of a soft spot for Wolves, and I always want them to do well. So obviously not on Saturday, but it's quite a nice game, isn't it? At home to Wolves. If you're going to pick an opening game, that wouldn't be far away from being one of the top choices, would it? Let's be honest. And it's a good opportunity to get off to a good start, get 3 points on the board. Not that it's going to be easy, because I think Wolves are a decent team. They had a good season last year, didn't they? Gary O'Neill done a great job. But it's a good opportunity for us to kick off with 3 points. And I think it's important that we do. I think the first game's always important anyway. But, what are your kind of expectations then for Saturday? Because obviously pre-season we've talked about, we know what to expect from Arsenal really. But what do we think, are Wolves just going to be kind of lambs to the slaughter in a way? Or do you think they're going to set themselves out to get a point and make it tricky for us?
I think this Wolves side recently, over the last couple of seasons, they're not a patch on what they were. I think they've kind of found their niche now. They were one of those teams that I used to really sweat and worry about and sort of think, we're going to have a real tough gig here. But I reckon we'll just roll them over. I reckon we're going to do them 2-0, if not more. But I just don't see the ambition in the club anymore. Some of these teams, like when you saw Leicester and they won the league and all that sort of thing, you thought, they're really going to go places, and they had a bit of fire in their belly, and it looked like they had the FA Cup, and it all looked like a launch pad, and then it all just fell away. And Wolves are a bit like that for me. They've just lost their footing. I don't know what it is. Again, it's behind the scenes, it's owners and all the rest of it, and choices with managers. But Nuno had it just right. And ever since they got rid of him, or he left, didn't he? He went to that lot. Ever since he left, I just feel they've lost their way.
I think they made a wrong choice to replace him. I think that was where it started to go wrong. And I wouldn't necessarily say they've done bad. I mean, they've established themselves as a Premier League club now. They've been in the Premier League, 5 or 6 seasons now. They're always around mid-table now, aren't they? I know they had that season in Europe under Nuno and stuff like that. And yes, they've dropped down since then. But I don't know. I think they're a settled Premier League club now, aren't they, Wolves? They've had a lot of ups and downs in their history. And they've now seemed to have found a way to... they're not really under relegation threat generally. They're middle of the table, aren't they? They're not ever going to challenge for anything, but they're always going to be there. You get the feeling now, don't you, that they're always going to be in the Premier League and they're always going to be a difficult team. I know we beat them 5-0, didn't we, the other season, whatever, but I don't know. It's a nice game to start the season with, isn't it? Let's be honest. A home game against a team that is probably going to be mid-table at the end of it. They're not going to be a team to worry too much about. We should beat them. I think we've won our last 5 or 6 meetings with Wolves home and away. So, there's no reason to think any differently, really, is it? Let's be honest. I'm not, we're talking about stress before. This is one game we can come into, first game of the season, where we don't really, there's not really too much. I don't feel there's too much stress about the game, really. We should win, as you said. And hopefully we will. I mean, Lee, what do you make of Wolves then? I mean, it is a nice game to start with, to kick off with, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah, perfect. 3:00 on a Saturday.
Exactly.
You could, you could probably pick a few easier games on paper, maybe some of the promoted clubs, but it's a great opening game. But yeah, I kind of, I don't know, a bit different to Tom. I can kind of see, maybe with the expectation, maybe a nervy kind of 1-0, right, scrape over the line, and which will do, right, because remember we've got some right tough games coming up. City, we've got Spurs, haven't we, away?
Villa away.
So we've got some real. So it's obviously paramount. We get the 3 points more than anything. So, first game for them, that their tails be up. That they wouldn't have suffered any demoralising defeats first game of the season, so could be difficult, right? Against all the old cliches, the early goal, don't score early. We could be looking at just grind out 1-0, but any win is super important. We do not want to start this season with a draw.
Yeah.
I like you, Rich. I like Gary O'Neill. He was hard done by.
I like him. Yeah.
Worked out brilliant for him. I love him. I like the way he speaks. He seems a proper football person to me. No nonsense. Pretty honest manager. I really like.
He'd be a good England manager. He'd be a good England manager, wouldn't he, Lee?
Do you know what? Yeah, why not? If this Gareth Southgate can take over with his record, then why not Gary O'Neill? But decent club, as you say. One of the old school founders. And I remember when I was a kid losing home to Wolves. John Richards. You remember we lost 3-2 long time.
3-2. Yeah, that's right.
He scored a couple. So 1-0 for Rich.
Well, okay. I mean, I thought you might have been a bit more optimistic than that, but we'll take a free. To be honest with you, I say this all the time: 3 points is all that matters. Whether you win 1-0 or you win 6-0, you still only get 3 points. And there may be goal difference later on in the season, but don't worry about that. Let's just win the game, and that's it. Start with 3 points. So the clean sheet obviously would be, we got a lot of clean sheets last season, so let's carry on where we left off. Really, in that sense, get 3 points and a clean sheet would be great. I mean, Neil, what I know that you're expecting a good victory, aren't you? I'm sure. Yeah,
of course. I mean, I think I'll take probably a bit of both of what Tom and Lee said. I think it's an unknown for both. We're starting fresh as much as Wolves are, and they've had no, embarrassing defeats or anything like that, which might demotivate them. Likewise, we haven't had any resounding wins yet. It's the first game. We're both going to be maybe playing a little bit of chess with each other initially. Obviously the players probably are not at their optimal fitness as well on both sides. It takes, I think, 3, 4, 5 games into the season proper for the players really to start finding their fit. But having said that, on paper, yes, we should be fine. But my only concern always with Arsenal is complacency. I sometimes feel that they're going to a game thinking they're going to get a win, and you shouldn't be like that. I think they should know that they're going to be up for a fight no matter who you're playing. I've always said, and we've always agreed, that anyone can beat anyone in this league. That's the context of the Premier League. It is that way. That you can have a really surprise result. You can have the Brentford beating Man City, for goodness sake. It does happen. So I think we should be a little bit on our, a little bit more careful than just thinking, yeah, this is going to be a straightforward 3 points. But at the end of the day, I can't see anything but a win. And I'd like to see. I know, Rich, you're probably not going to agree, but and you can say it's going to be the same old style of football, which probably will end up being. But I'd like to see maybe if Timber does get a start. I know he's had a bit of a setback, didn't he? A slight setback, but they're saying today that he's recovered. I don't know whether he's going to start. Probably not. But let's see if he may come on a bit later on. Let's just see a little bit of freshness in the side. That's what I'd like to see. Just a little bit of freshness, especially if we are controlling the game and maybe we're 2 goals clear or something. So that's what my hope is. And as for a result, I'll be a little bit different. I'll go 3-0. I'll say 3-0 to us. I'll be my optimistic usual self. Well, I have to be. I've put 24-25 champs, for goodness sakes. Of course we're going to win it. Of course we're winning it.
Yeah, no, that's. I mean, to be fair, I mean, we should beat Wolves at home. I mean, if I was a Wolves fan, I'd actually be really looking forward to an away game at Arsenal, first game of the season, because, like you said, no one's got any momentum from big victories or a long run of wins or whatever it is. And I think, I think if Wolves came to Arsenal at any other point in the season, they would probably feel they'd lose, definitely, because we at home we're pretty good anyway, and you've got momentum for the season. So but first game of the season, if I was a Wolves fan, I'll be thinking, you know what, you just never know, do you? You just never know. That's probably a good time to be playing an away game against a team like Arsenal. So Wolves have got nothing to lose in this game. They can relax into it. If they come and get beat, then what's Gary O'Neill going to say? Well, we just played the second best team in the league for the last 2 seasons away from home. Of course we were going to lose. Yeah. And if they manage to somehow scrape a result, could set them up for a really good season, couldn't it? So it's a win-win for Wolves in many ways, and the pressure's on us, isn't it? Because we have to win this game because we're at home for a mid-table team, and everybody's going to expect us to win and probably win comfortably. But as we've seen from your score predictions, I don't think I mean, Neil's maybe the most optimistic, but I don't think anybody thinks it's going to be an easy game. Well, it's not an easy game. There's no easy games, is it? We know that. And I think the first game in particular, you don't really know what to expect. I hope you're right, Neil. I hope we do see something a little bit different, because if you can't maybe experiment little bits and pieces when you're at home to Wolves, when are you going to? You're not going to experiment away at Villa the week after. Certainly not. We'd hope not, because that's asking for trouble, isn't it? And we've got Man City away to come, we've got Spurs to come, and all these tricky games. So if we're going to experiment at any time, experiment in a game like this. But we need to get it won first. Let's go 2-0 up, and then maybe try some different things and see if they work. But that's what pre-season should have been for, and it wasn't. We didn't do it in pre-season. But anyway, let's just get the win. I've just got a feeling obviously I think we'll win, but I've got a feeling it might be a little bit more uncomfortable. I do. I think it might be a little bit uncomfortable. And I think unless we do get an early goal and settle down, I think it could be quite a difficult game. But I think we'll win. In the end, we probably will win, maybe 2-0. I think we've got too much for them. But it could be a game where the goals maybe come late. It could be the last 10 minutes and we're still 0-0, and then we get one and then we get another because Wolves' heads drop after conceding one and stuff like that. It could be that sort of a game. I wouldn't be surprised if it was. But yes, let's get the win. Let's start with 3 points, clean sheet. And let's hopefully we can then, push on from there. And Michael said, it's going back to the thing about, challenging for trophies. He said, have you guys ever relaxed when we've been in a cup final? Only time I can remember is when we smashed Villa 4-0 and only relaxed after the fourth. Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, you can't enjoy those games. And being Arsenal, how often, apart from that Villa one, we never win big games easily, do we? Ever. We always go behind, or it's 0-0 and, you got the whole game. We were 2-0 down after 10 minutes. And, we never do things the easy way usually, do we? So maybe we've suffered more in those situations because of that. We don't wrap the league up with like 5 games to go usually, do we? Or we don't win a cup final 4-0 very often. It's normally a struggle.
It's in our DNA, Rich, to suffer.
It is. Yeah, we do have to suffer, don't we? But no, you're right.
Arsenal versus Hull in the FA Cup. That was a nightmare. Well,
it was a nightmare for a while, and it became quite good in the end. But it was a nightmare for a long time.
It's just one of those, isn't it, where you just think, oh God, it's going to be one of those days, and then it all turns around, and it's like,
And wasn't it year that we still hadn't won a trophy for quite a while? Wasn't it? Right. It was.
Yes. And I
So
think
I
that
thought-
pressure you could see, couldn't you, in the early part of that game, the pressure of not having won a trophy. We hadn't even been in an FA Cup final for a long time. And
No.
you could see, and that's why we were 2-0 down, and we could have been 3-0 down.
Yeah.
And I remember I was at the game when first time my son had seen us playing a cup final. And we were 2-0 down after 10 minutes. I was getting so many messages from people, Tottenham fans, everything else, saying, losing the hole and all this. So when we actually came back and won, it was amazing. But yeah, we did go through it that day. We definitely went, as we always do. When do we ever? We never do it easy. Even that cup final against Chelsea in 2017, when they were down to 10 men and we were winning, they went and scored and made it 1-1. You know what I mean? It's like, why can't we just go and win this game 3-0 like a normal team would do? And we ended up winning, of course, in the end. But you know what I mean? That Aston Villa one will be the only one ever, probably, where we could actually enjoy 20 minutes of a cup final because it's all done and dusted. We've won. Happy days. Sanchez scored that fantastic goal. And it was, one of the greatest cup finals that we'll ever experience, probably. But
Mind you, the worst day for me was I got given some tickets to the 1979 FA Cup final against Man United. And the guy said, look, you have one ticket, sell the other one, give me the money. So I went there. I was in the United end. And we were 2-0 up. And obviously that killer goal at the end. And I sort of jumped up and down, baking hot day, horrible. And they were passing bodies out over the top. And I looked round and it was like millions of bloody Northerners really upset. And I was like, I just go now. It was all last gasp, but it was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. What a day.
I mean, you can't beat a last-minute winner, but you've gone through so much emotion to get to that point. And I think that's why last-minute winners are so good, because of what you've gone through in the previous 90 minutes to reach that point. And it's just an outcry of emotion, isn't it? Because of what it means and stuff like that. So you can't beat a last-minute winner, but it's the stress before.
Andy Linnigan, there's another last.
Yeah, Andy Linnigan, exactly. Yeah, that was incredible. What a night that was.
That final cost me 2 days off work.
Yeah, Thursday night. Thursday night. Rain, poured down the rain. Couldn't even celebrate.
The latest ever goal to win an FA Cup final at the 122nd minute of the replay. So it was like the 242nd minute of the game in total. The latest ever FA Cup final goal. And it'll always be the latest ever one because there's never replays anymore. It will always go down. That goal will always be the latest ever goal in a cup final ever.
Wow.
Yeah.
So well done, Andy Linnigan.
Well done, Andy.
And that was a lot of fun, actually, wasn't it, that night?
First club to do the domestic double as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, to win the first ever domestic double, cup double, And,
against the same team, bless them.
Yeah, I know,
Shame, it was Morrow, wasn't it? What's his name? First name?
That was in the League Cup final, Steve Morrow,
And then Tony Adams broke his arm.
He dropped him,
So he couldn't even go be part of the celebrations, poor thing.
What I found strange was Tony Adams, he couldn't lift up Steve Morrow, but he managed to lift a couple, right, didn't he? You know what I mean? He didn't drop that, did he? You better off dropping, like Aubameyang dropped a cup, didn't he? Tony Adams actually dropped a player. So there you go. Terry says, I won't be predicting any scores this season in case the police knock on my door and arrest me for disinformation. Well, that's true. You've got to be careful these days, haven't you? What you say, absolutely. It's probably best not to. Give a score. Greg says you'll have to be careful what you say about the manager. Terry, you could get banned for life. Well, that's true as well. You see, but that won't be disinformation, though, will it? So you might be alright with that. But we will have to see. Stu says they're rejecting 30 million bid for Nketiah. Jesus, I mean, what on earth's that about? If they think they're going to get more money for Eddie Nketiah than 30 million, they're in dreamland, aren't they?
Okay.
But anyway, Michael says there, Tommy says, Arsenal versus Hull. My missus told me before kickoff that I was going to be a father for the first time. Wow, I was an emotional wreck that day. I bet you was. Incredible. Wow, what a day to find that information out. Brilliant stuff that. Wow, incredible. Stu says there, the Owen final was the worst one at Donkey Honcho play handball. That was true. That we should have been about 5-0 up in that game, shouldn't we? Anyway, and then obviously Michael Owen got them goals, didn't he, in the last 5 minutes, which was that wasn't great. Terry says Alan Sunderland, indeed, yes, 79. What a moment that was! Fantastic. We've had some good moments, really. I mean, let's be honest, we've had some good moments. Even though we've had to put ourselves through it to get there. A lot of them.
I'm with Tom. 79 for me as an 11-year-old, especially after losing to Ipswich, and I was living in Stevenage. We were packing to go up to watch the parade, so all the cases were packed to go to stay in the relatives in Highbury, and then Well, when they scored the equaliser, my mum was like, "That's it, unpack the cases." I was throwing myself on the floor, screaming on the floor, going, "Not again, not again!" And then I was down on the floor in bits. And my dad's going, "Get up, scored!"
Yeah, no, that was. I mean, I was, I think, about 10 years, I think, at the time, and obviously we used to watch the cup final at home, and then obviously when Alan Sunderland scored that goal, I was out in the garden, just like scoring goals in the garden all the rest of the afternoon, pretending I was Alan Sunderland. I had hair in as well, so I almost got away with it. But
I think that's the game that really. I mean, I started following Arsenal when I was 5, and that was 1975. But I really didn't really get into it. It really specifically, I think that was the cup final that did it. Because I was
one was the year before, actually. The Ipswich one was the one for me.
It was 3 in a row, wasn't it?
It was the Ipswich one.
But you know, it was that one that really kind of sparked my wow, and especially being a last gasp winner, because I was in tears. I was crying when it got to 2-2. I thought, oh no. So I started crying, and all of a sudden he just comes up and he scores that, and I'm like, what? And I thought, is this what football's about? And that's what I was saying earlier about what it means.
That was an incredible moment.
At the age of 8 years old, going on to 9. I think I was just coming. I think I was a couple of months short of being 9, and that was what sold Arsenal to me. That really sold.
I think all Arsenal fans of our kind of age that will always remember that Alan Sunderland goal, that cup final, and what it meant, because it was probably the first time we'd ever seen. Well, it was for me the first time I'd seen us win a trophy. You know, so in my life. So you know what I mean. That was, and I think that meant so much to most of us for that reason, really. And that goal, we'll never forget it, will we? You know, just incredible. We'll never forget what we were doing.
And I loved those kits as well in those days.
That was the away.
I loved them.
Not the links away nonsense. You know what I mean? Sorry.
I think the thing as well was the FA Cup was really different back then, wasn't it? It was the only game on the telly. It was a big feature. It was all day. You had the old satin rosettes with like dustbin lids, little silver FA Cup on them, and a really tatty little Arsenal
all
FC.
The banners in the stadium that people had like spray painted themselves and that. You know what I mean? Just brilliant.
And the coverage.
Coverage. 10 in the morning, players on the coach. I remember seeing Brian Robson. Actually, they were in the room. They had obviously 2 players were sharing a room. One of them was laying in bed. Brian Robson was having a shave, and they're chatting up with the camera, and they're saying, "Well, how are you feeling confident today, Brian?" Against Brian, I think. Brian Robson's reasonably confident. I mean, you imagine.
Brilliant. So
no, it was. I mean, you know, you're right. The TV coverage of the cup final used to be fantastic, and I think football coverage in general was fantastic then. The commentators were brilliant, the presenters were brilliant, the pundits were brilliant. You had Brian Clough as a pundit and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It was just incredible. And now it's just terrible. Honestly,
the cameras wouldn't even follow the coaches. I remember the player coaches.
A camera on the coach. It
was like royalty. It literally
all the way up Wembley Way. They used to go, didn't they? On the bus, used to go up Wembley Way, and you'd see all the fans outside the window. They'd have a camera on the bus, wouldn't they, with the players and that? Just incredible, absolutely incredible.
Nothing like it.
And you know, in a way, I feel a bit sorry for younger fans these days that never got to experience that type of thing that we did when we were growing up watching football, and it's almost a shame. It's almost a shame, I think, that they never experienced that. And I'm so grateful that I was of an age where I was able to, you know, to witness that, as well as what we've seen in more recent years. You know, and sometimes I think people don't understand. You speak to younger fans and they think, "Oh, football's fantastic," and the Premier League's brilliant. What it's brilliant, but I'm saying yes, but you didn't experience football in the 70s and the 80s when it was crap, but it was better.
It was crap.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, you're right. Crap, but
it was a better experience, wasn't it? You know what I mean? I look at. I don't go to Emirates much now, for lots and lots of reasons. But when I've been to games and when you watch them on the telly and you look at it and you think, it's just not the same.
No,
it's not the same. You know, and people get, you know, you see fans in the stadium. I've been to games, and, you know, fans, you know, obviously you're excited, Arsenal winning this, that, and the other. And you look at it and everyone comes away, you see it on social media, the atmosphere was brilliant today. And I'm thinking, the atmosphere was pretty crap. It used to be brilliant in the 80s when we were terrible. The atmosphere was the one thing that stood up. Whereas now the atmosphere is all right, but it's considering how much better the football is.
Yeah,
the atmosphere is not as good.
Last couple of years, isn't it, Neil? It's been
amazing. Last couple of years, but you know what, Rich? in a way, I agree with that, because also the other thing is, I think being a standing stadium had a massive impact too.
Yeah, oh yeah,
because
Highbury as
standing
well.
stadium,
Highbury as well.
It changes the whole dynamic of everything. Being seated just a bit more formal. It feels formal.
Yeah,
I remember when I used to come out of a game at Highbury, and this is even when it had turned into a seated stadium. I felt like I'd been to a football match, no matter how bad or great we'd been or whatever it was. I feel like I'd been to the like I'd been through the ringer and I'd been through a football match. But in the early days of coming out of the Emirates, I'm not saying so much now, but in the early days, I felt like I'd been to a corporate meeting. That's the difference. That's how.
To be honest, I think it's a little bit like that now. I mean, the demographic of football fans has changed anyway since we left Highbury, and it is different. And you're right, it's different. It's a different type of fan now. Anyway, in general, in the ground, you know, and it's changed. And I suppose that's just the way life has changed as well, maybe. But I kind of agree. You knew you'd been. Yeah, I quite like getting pushed around and shoved about inside the stadium, you know. And when you scored a goal, you'd end up like 20 rows further forward than when you started. And now, you know, you've got everyone in lines. You know, sort of. I don't know. It's not the same. It isn't the same. And you know, I think the songs are not as nice as good as they used to be. Everyone's too nice about everybody, and I don't know. Just a bit of abuse for 90 minutes is good. It gets it out of your system. I'd rather people spend 90 minutes shouting abuse at Man City fans at the Emirates, or Tottenham fans, or West Ham fans, and start smashing shops up on a Tuesday night.
Exactly,
you know what I mean?
Because banter's
get it out of your system at
football.
That's what football was for me. That's what it was about. It was about releasing that emotion and stuff. And that's what maybe they should start doing lessons for kids now. Get kids to actually, learn about expressing your anger and your emotions in a more positive way.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that football is always a positive way, because it sometimes wasn't. But do you know what I mean? It's like
no. But I think on the whole, generally, I agree with that. I think at the end of the day, there is a difference between being spiteful and banter. There's such a huge difference. Yeah, and banter, if banter is kept to within the confines of the stadium, and then when everyone leaves, everyone's happy, and you can even mingle with sometimes for some of the opposing fans. I've had many occasions where it's not always been great. There's been times where I've gone home and I'm on the train and we're talking. I'm talking to you, and we're agreeing, and we're having a laugh and a joke, and that's what it should be like. And I know rugby's a lot like that, but it should be like that. Yeah, but while you're in the stadium, it's war. I mean, it's like it's a war of banter, but we still want our team to do well and all the rest of it. But there's nothing wrong with it. And then now, there's certain things you just can't say. You'll get done for if you say this or that. And look, where something is deeply offensive, I agree with it. But then they take it too far. They take it to the end.
Yeah, but Neil, you're saying really offensive. I know it's just slightly off topic, but really offensive is only how someone else perceives what someone else has said. So who decides what's really offensive?
No, I agree.
But people say, I don't think I've ever been offended by anything anybody's ever said. Not really. You look at it and think, well, that was maybe a bit inappropriate or whatever it is, but words I don't find them offensive. Nothing would offend me, whatever somebody says. It's more actions that I find offensive.
I think
more,
with me,
but
it was slightly different with me because I suffered a hell of a lot of racial abuse, and and I've had it at football as well.
Yeah.
And it's quite it is hurtful, which is difficult because I related that to the times where I was actually physically abused as well. So that from the verbal, exactly. Then to hear it in a football match, and you're thinking, well, some of these are my own fans. It was quite a difficult one to say. It didn't happen often, but when it did happen, so that's what I'm saying. That's taking it to the extreme level. But I'm still saying, I'm not one of these. Look, I'm not one of these snowflakes, or whatever you call them. I used to take a hell of a lot of abuse. I just dusted myself down and got on with it and carried on and thought, and actually it made me a stronger person. Today, it's filled. The whole society is just full of people that will get offended by every single thing. And basically, we're being instructed on how to behave, how to walk, talk, and what we say. So basically, we're turning into us into robots. There's no free will anymore. We're not allowed any free will. That's what I'm saying. It's taking it to the nth degree.
It's like playing for Arsenal. It's just like playing for Arsenal. Living in England at a minute is like playing for Arsenal.
I knew it.
It's like playing under Keir Starmer, Mikel Arteta. They're very. I reckon obviously Keir Starmer's an Arsenal fan. Maybe he's actually been in the dressing room and him and Arteta have been exchanging ideas, and he's thinking, "Oh, I'm going to try this when I'm Prime Minister." Sorry, mate, it hasn't worked for Arsenal. It's not going to work for us, so stop it. Quite honestly, but you're right, though, Neil, absolutely. Michael says, "Do you guys think City will be seriously punished in the new year? I think they'll get a points deduction, which stops them winning the league. I don't think they'll get anything. Actually, I think what they'll do is they'll postpone and Man City will appeal, and it won't affect this coming season. It might affect them the season after, but I think this season it won't affect them because I think they'll just keep appealing. Even if they're found guilty, they'll appeal and appeal and appeal. Whatever the decision is, they'll keep appealing, and it'll drag on till after the season, and then that's what
25, 26, it'll drag on to, and even if they do them, Rich, which it's going to be, let's face it, it'll be a points deduction and a massive fine. And I'm like, if you've cheated, right, this is my logic, right? Call me simple. If you cheated, then hand back the trophies. If you've cheated to win, otherwise we'd all cheat and get a 10-point deduction. You're keeping that trophy haul, so I don't get it. I mean, look what
happened to Ben Johnson. Look what happened to Ben Johnson. You know what I mean? He cheated, got a gold medal, and had to give it back. Someone else got it.
So I don't.
Carl Lewis got it.
People, commentators on the radio go, it'll be a massive fine and probably a 10-point deduction. I'm laughing. I'm even rolling around on the floor. 10-point deduction. I've got a European Cup in the trophy cabinet, and God knows how many league titles, and we've made football history. So that the mere fact that you should erase all that will almost make a mockery of the league, won't it? So they won't want to do that. Plus the fact, I just think they're not going to get done it. They will not get anything for me more than 10 points, maybe 20, maybe it'll affect them for one season. That's it. But that's not punishment, is it? Otherwise, let's all cheat. Let's win trophies for the next 5 years and get 20 points.
Plus, to be honest,
sorry, I would rather than not. Oh, sorry, Rich. I was just going to say, to be honest, I'd rather than not have the points deduction and we've beaten fair and square. Because
that's what I was going to say. I don't want us to win the league because they've had a points deduction.
But you only won it because they had a points deduction.
Yeah.
No, we're going to win the league anyway.
They should be Lee. They should be punished, and they should be punished properly. I agree with that. But what I'm saying is, can you imagine? You know what it's like out there with the media these days. If they do happen to get even a 5-point deduction, just say hypothetically, we win the league by 1 point. They would say, "Well, it's only because they got the point deduction that you won." Yeah. That's what I don't want. I want us to win.
I don't want that. I'd rather not win the league that way. I'd rather not win it that way. The best punishment for me would be at the end of the season, whether Man City have won the league or they haven't won the league, relegate them wherever they finish. Relegate them at the end of the season. So you don't deduct points because all that does is make a mockery of the season. It just makes the whole league pointless, right? At the end of the season, if they're guilty, relegate them. And if they're guilty of all 115 charges, relegate them into League Two.
Yeah.
Do that. That's the right thing to do. Giving them a fine, pointless, because they're one of the richest clubs in the world. Deducting points from them for one season isn't going to make any difference because it isn't going to, unless they relegate them, unless they give them a 50-point deduction, they relegate them, which they won't do. The thing is, just don't deduct them points. At the end of the season, just say you're found guilty, you're relegated. You're into league, you're leading the Championship, League One or League Two, whatever it is, and that's what's happening. That's your punishment, and get on with it, right? They'll lose half their players, they'll lose half their fans, and it will take them 10 years to come back, right? And we can laugh at them, right? But don't let us win the league because they've deducted points off them. No, I don't want that. I'd rather that didn't happen. I don't want to. I wouldn't even celebrate the league if we won it like that, because to me that's not winning the league. It's being given. It's being given it by them being punished, and that's not right. I don't want to see that. I don't want that. That's not what I don't want to see us end our 21-year wait for a league title and do it like that. I don't want it. I don't want to see
predictions. We're doing predictions, then, Rich.
Yeah, we're going to finish it off with our predictions for the season. And my prediction is that picture there, Saka and Havertz will be cuddling quite a lot. That's what's going to happen, quite a lot. So that's my prediction for the season. So Lee, go on then, give us your prediction for the season. Where do you think we're going to finish, first of all, realistically?
Top. We're going to win the league.
Ooh, okay.
It's our time.
Straight in top. Love it.
Straight in top. Boom. It's our time. We've got the momentum. We've got the belief. I think how much percentage is hope, but I think City naturally, having been at the top for so long, they are, and as we're saying about Pep not quite being at it, they will drop off. And I think the drop off will be enough. Right? If we had a striker, we'd be home and dry. Without a striker, I still think we'll have enough. It'll be a close run thing. So I think we're going to win the league. Two good seasons. And I know we haven't won it, Rich, but for me, it's where I differ from you. He's gone from 8th to 5th to 2nd to 2nd. The level of consistency is there, despite the fact we kind of had a little, not so moan about the way we played. We are consistent and we weren't great in didn't try new things in friendlies. I still think he's basically got us to a great level. And I think I've said to you before, all I want as an Arsenal fan, I want to win things, but I want to be up there because when we grew up, Rich, in the 70s and 80s, the most we could hope for, I got to an FA Cup semi-final. The league, we were seventh, weren't we? We were sixth or seventh. If we got to fourth, our heads were spinning, right? So to be up there challenging for a league, to win it is a Brucey bonus for me, but to be up there challenging, arguably the greatest club side in British football, much as I detest them for what I think they've done, they kind of, what they've achieved better than even the Liverpool side of the late 70s, early 80s. You have to say, and their points total and the goals and all the rest of it, that's remarkable consistency. Whatever shortcomings we all think Arteta's got, and I think he's got some as well. Overall, if I was Mikel Arteta sitting there, I'd say, sorry, look at the progress. Look where we are. We're a game away. We're a game away. So that's what I'd be saying if I was him. So, yeah, Arsenal for the league title, 4 or 5 points for me.
Any cups along the way or not?
Possibly an FA Cup. I think we'll be so focused on the league this year. We'll be potentially, but in my head, we'll have a little lead in the league, and that may take our eye off the ball in the Champions League. But probably a good run to the final, maybe in the FA Cup, maybe win it, maybe not. But yeah, that's League Cup. I think we'll go out. I think you'll field a weakened side, and we'll probably go out. So maybe a good. I'm like Neil. I love the FA Cup. I'd love to get back at Wembley again. Champions League, you never know. I think Champions League, you do need that killer. You absolutely need that killer because you ain't getting away with it against Real Madrid away. You're not getting away with it against those teams. You've got to be top. And you need a killer.
Yeah.
You need a Vinicius Junior. That ilk. We're nowhere near up front. So yeah, big title for me for Arsenal. 21-year wait. Boom. Cheers.
Well, let's hope you're right. Tom, what are your predictions for the season for Arsenal? Are we going to finish with a trophy at least?
Yeah, I think we're. I don't see us being in the Champions League for too long. I think we'll go out sort of reasonably early. I don't think we've got the depth for that. That's another couple of years away, I think, until we get our teeth into that. But the FA Cup, love to see that, and definitely the league. I just got a feeling we're going to do it. We've got close. We've got a squad that we can do it with. A couple of additions. If he really wants to get it. Again, it's all about these key moments, isn't it? Getting people in who can provide the support, because we're probably 3 players short of having a superb side where you could just rotate on the bench and all the rest of it.
Definitely.
But for me, definitely champions this year, and I'd love to see the FA Cup.
Oh, love it. The double.
Wow, there's some optimism going on here, and we haven't even got to Neil yet. Christ.
No, yeah, got to be, yeah.
I'm excited about this one, Neil. What's your opposite? Well, at least you're definitely going to win the league and maybe the FA Cup.
Oh, that's what
Tom's gone for the league and the FA Cup. What are you going for? The quadruple?
No. Well, let's start from the basics. We have to win a cup this season. None of us are trophy hunters, but we have to win. For everything that we have invested in this club in the last few years and where we're supposed to be as Arsenal Football Club, there is no shadow in the doubt in my mind that we have to lift a trophy, whether it's the League Cup or the Champions League, whatever it is. There has to be silverware on the shelf at the end of the season. So that's the first thing. For me, I'm agreeing with both the lads. I think it's the league. We're going to do it. We're going to just get past that 1 or 2 extra games where we fell short in the last 2 seasons, and we're gonna make it happen. I agree again with the Champions League. I don't think we've got nowhere near enough. Look at Real Madrid. Look at the players they've got. Look at the signing they made. I mean, they're just ridiculous. We can't even dream of competing at their level at the moment, right? So that's going to take a bit more work, I believe. However, I do think we will still come out of that new group stage format. I think we'll still get through that. But I don't know how far we're going to come after, post the group stage. So that's the Champions League thing. FA Cup, you know what? We can't allow Man United to equal our record. We have to win. So for me, I agree with. I think Tom and even Lee, you might have suggested it. Cup double, league and FA Cup double.
15 FA Cup, 15.
Yeah.
Number
15. Number 15. Yeah.
Number 15. Boom.
We have to. There's no. Man United cannot touch that record. I'm sorry, just can't.
I mean, I've got to be honest, right? I look at our squad, and we said it before, our first 13, 14 players are good enough to win the double, but you don't win a double with 14 players. You win a double with 25 players, and we don't have that depth. I don't think this team is anywhere near good enough to win a double. And I agree with Neil that we have to win a trophy. One trophy at least this season we have to win. And well, I say we have to win. If we don't win one, then we are looking at a new manager. We have to. We can't go 5 consecutive seasons without winning anything. Regardless of coming second in the league, whatever it is, we have to win a trophy. Now, this is a make or break season for Arteta, and it doesn't necessarily have to be the Premier League. That's the dream. Of course it is. We all want to see us win the Premier League, don't we? I mean, incredible. But it doesn't even have to be the Premier League for me. It has to be something, though. We have to win a trophy of some sort. We can't not win anything. And I would rather, and I know people are going to probably say, well, that doesn't make sense, but I would rather we win a cup, whether it's the League Cup, whether it's the FA Cup, rather than finishing second in the league again and winning nothing. I would rather win the FA Cup, for example, and finish 4th than finish second. And again, like we have the last 2 seasons, I would rather win an FA Cup and finish lower in the league. Obviously, I'd rather win the league, given the choice of it all. Of course, that's what we all want to do. And I'd love to see us win the league again. It's been far too long, but we have to win something. Have we got the squad? Yes, Man City look as though they might have 1 or 2 problems, not necessarily with points deductions, but as we've said, you know, to do with what's going on maybe at the club behind the scenes, Pep, stuff like that. And Kevin De Bruyne was going to leave and now he's not. And I don't know, there's a few issues going on at Man City. So, but have we got the squad to win a league over 38 games? Is Mikel Arteta going to rotate enough to rest players at the key times to be able to, when it matters in April and in May, to have everybody firing and fit and ready to get those results? Last season, we got the results at the end. It wasn't quite enough because of earlier games. But I don't know. I'm not convinced. And I've seen nothing. The transfer window hasn't convinced me. I've seen nothing in pre-season that's convinced me that we're going to be any better than last season. And to win the league, we'll have to be better than last season. And we'll have to be better than the season before. Are we able to do that with what we've got at this moment in time? I don't think we've improved enough. I don't think we've improved the squad enough at all to do that. And unless we get in, if we get 2 or 3 players in between now and the end of the transfer window, particularly if one of them's a goal scorer and particularly if one of them is a midfield player or a cover on the wings for maybe Saka, then I might think that we maybe have improved enough. As things stand now, if this is the end of the transfer window now, we're not strong enough to win the league, I don't think. But we can win a cup. We can definitely win one of the cups, and we should be looking at winning one of the cups anyway, because, you know, we've got a team good enough to, you know, pick your strongest 11 in the FA Cup. We've got a chance of winning it because not many teams can beat us on our day. So let's do that. Can we win the league? I don't think we've got a big enough squad. I don't think we've got a strong enough squad. The depth is not there. We get 2 or 3 injuries and we're struggling to get top 4. So let alone winning the league. If everyone stays fit and we pick the same 11 every week and everyone's fit, we've got a chance. Of course we have. But you don't. It's not 1975 anymore. You need 20 players that are going to be able to contribute. And I don't think we've got 20 players that are good enough. We've got 14 that's good enough, but we haven't got the rest. We've still got 2 weeks to sort it out. But are we going to buy 3 or 4 players? No, we're probably not. So
there's no, for me, Rich, there's no other club, right? You could say that about all the clubs, probably apart from City, because your statement you just made about they ain't got the depth, you could say that about all of them, right? And so to me, at worst case, we'll be best of the rest. We'll be second, right? Because we've probably got, you're right, 15 players, maybe 16. Well, Liverpool, transition, Chelsea all over the shop, Man United, God knows. So maybe my counter argument, even by default, right, we're better than the rest of them, right? And we've come close the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, so. But you're assuming we don't get any injuries, though, Lee. What if we get 3? What if Saliba's out half a season? What if Gabriel's out for 15 games?
I was going to say, we were really lucky last year, weren't we? We were unbelievably lucky.
We were. Yeah.
Incredibly lucky, in fact, when you think about it. So, yeah, that's my only caveat. And we have been saying, haven't we? We need strength in depth, Tom touched earlier, to cover these key positions. And say Odegaard gets injured, and we are
that's trouble.
Bang in trouble because Vieira.
Saka's out for a long time. You know, he doesn't tend to get injured, but it only takes one bad tackle that he gets every week. You know what I mean?
It's robust.
I just think we're on like it's like we're at a crossroads almost. I think we're very, very close to having a good enough squad to really, really go on and win some big trophies. But we're not quite there yet. We haven't got the backup and we haven't got the depth. And it does take time to build that. He's had 5 years now to build it. And maybe we should be in a stronger position in terms of the squad. But anyway, we are where we are. I don't know. Man City, no one's won the league 4 years in a row. No one's obviously won it 5 years in a row. It's a big ask for them to do it again, regardless of anything else.
Yeah.
But
mentally,
I just think other clubs are looking to improve more than we have. Look at some of the signings that other clubs have made. Man United have made a lot of signings. Chelsea made a lot of signings. I don't know if they're not ready to challenge for the league. I don't think yet. They've bought everybody possible. I mean, Tottenham have made some decent signings that they needed. They're going to be better. They're not going to change for the title. Of course they're not, because they're Tottenham. But, I don't know. I'm just a little bit worried that we haven't done enough yet in this summer window. We haven't.
Rich, I'm going to agree with that, but I do think the other clubs, forget Man City, let's take them out of the equation for the moment. But the other clubs, even if they've improved, I still don't think they're going to be anywhere near us. I think we made ourselves too. Again, it depends on keeping players fit. Of course, I completely agree with you, Rich. Even losing 2 key players is going to be devastating for us. So maybe 1 we could get away with, but 2 or 3, then we're in trouble. But if they stay fit from the majority of the season, and we keep the same levels that we have, more so maybe last season, because we were kind of there right till the end, I think we're still leaps and bounds ahead of the Man United at the moment, the Liverpools, the Chelseas. I really do believe that. I think our only real challenge is Man City, to be fair. And I think there was some talk about De Bruyne leaving, wasn't there? So there's some rumblings going on in that club. Things are not quite as they used to be. Even if that was just a little bit of a story, sometimes you've got to say there's no smoke without fire, is there? So I'm not saying it's unrest, but there's changes afoot in Man City, and even the slightest change can start, destabilizing anything, any company, any functioning unit. And I think this is our chance. We forget FFP for the moment, forget the charges. Let's assume that it's a level playing field for both clubs. I think if we stay fit, we will just eclipse them. I think we can just do it. That's my belief. But let's see.
Okay. That's you've put a very good argument across there, Neil. Yeah, I must admit, and Lee did as well, saying that if you look at the last 2 seasons, obviously we've come second, so we have been the best of the rest. But we're saying about Man City mentally doing it 5 seasons in a row. We've now got to do it 3 seasons in a row. We've got to do another season of that again, without really improving the squad, and that's my worry with it. That's all. Like that is, can we? And we'll need to go one better. We've got to find that way of finishing above Man City or anybody else that might. Anyone can have a one-off season like Leicester did. Everyone's saying, well, are Chelsea going to be good enough, our Spurs or whatever it might be, Man United or Liverpool? Anyone's capable of having a one-off season where it all just falls into place. Yeah. Everybody stays fit. They get a roll going. Yeah. It's possible, isn't it? Yeah. And, if we're slightly off it for whatever reason, because we don't have the depth, we get injuries, Man City are off it, someone else, could do it. That's all, on paper, we should finish a second. On paper, absolutely. That should be the minimum we should finish. But we don't. The season hasn't started yet, and there's still.
Maybe we should do it. Maybe we should ask this. We're after 10 games. I think that's the first marker after 10 games. Maybe we should ask this question again after 10 games.
Maybe because we've got some tough games as well, haven't we? We've got some tough games in that 10 as well. Yeah, and it will give us a lot more of where we are. No, that's probably a good idea. We probably will look at it again, maybe after 10 games, and see if we still feel the same. Well, if you guys feel differently, I'll probably still feel the same. Unless we're top of the league and won all 10 games, then I might start thinking we might win it.
No, you won't. You won't feel that. You won't feel different until the last game season when we won it. Then you say,
probably,
Player of the year, Zinchenko.
Let's just remember that all this hype about City. I mean, they have played some great football, but they haven't reinvented the wheel. I mean, football's football. Brazil of 1970, that national side, probably one of the finest teams you'll ever see. You could go through history, knowing your football background, and say that this side or that side is playing unbelievable football. He does what he does, and he does it very well. But it is football by numbers for me. At times, they flatter to deceive. They've not been that brilliant, but they've still won. They've got that champions mentality of still bringing in the points. But I've been a bit bored by them as well.
4 seasons.
Oh yeah, I've been bored by them pretty much since Pep came. And to be honest with you, this is what annoys me about Arsenal, because Arsenal are very similar to Man City, and sometimes I find us quite boring as well. It's all very sideways, backwards for 10 minutes. Keep possession, suck the other team in, and then hit them. And Man City have done that so well over the last 5-6 years, and we're starting to develop that a lot better, but it can be quite boring. There's a lot of games where I find really boring, especially at home, where teams sit 10 men behind the ball. We're going sideways for 3/4 of an hour. And then finally, someone will put a decent ball in, Saka usually, and someone will score. And then suddenly the game opens up and it's all right. But I don't know. I agree. Man City are... It's difficult to say they're overrated because they've won so many trophies. So you can't really say they're overrated, but I don't like their style of football particularly. I didn't before, anyway. So I don't.
Well, let's not forget as well, we took 4 points off them last season.
Yeah.
The gap has got considerably smaller, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because we were getting thumped by them left, right and centre.
Yeah,
so
we were.
Bring it down from that.
Yeah, no, we were, and obviously we've had better results. We had better results against them last season, but the league isn't one. We can beat Man City twice and still not win the league. It's about we lost to Aston Villa twice. We lost to Newcastle. We got 1 point against Fulham. I'd rather we got 1 point against Man City, won the other games, and won the league. Yeah. But the league's what it is, isn't it? But no, I mean, let's see. We need to win something anyway. We need to win something, whatever that is, whether it's a cup or whether it is the big one. Let's hope it's the big one, and I hope you guys are right. I'd love you to be right 100%, but I'm not convinced as things stand right now that we've done enough this transfer window to think that we can win the league.
It's our destiny, mate. It's our destiny. Honestly.
Let's see in 10 games, Rich, where we are.
10 games. How many points after 7? That'd be a good marker when you look at the top games, right? What's a good haul of points in that first 10? Well, who have we got? I think you mentioned it, Tom. We've got Villa away, City away, Spurs away. Who's that, Neil?
Brighton at home, I think, in third game.
Yeah, Brighton at home, Wolves at home.
Villa. You're looking at dropping probably. You might want to win one of those away games and draw the other two. You might win at Tottenham, draw at City, draw at Villa, and then win the rest. What's that? You're dropping 4 points, 26 points. I think that's a good haul, would you say, fellas? 26, 25, 26?
100%.
Games.
To be honest with you, looking at those games, I think 20 points would be a decent haul of points from those games.
No, that's too much, Rich. You can't lose 10 points out of 30.
But look at the games. Look at the games, though. We've got 3 of our toughest away games in the opening 10 games. Villa away, City away, and Spurs away. They're 3 of our toughest away games that we'll have, and they're out of the way then, aren't they?
Out of the way, but
you know what I mean?
To lose 10 points, we'd have to lose all those games, probably. I'm saying we'll win the easy.
Yeah, I mean, it's draws as well, isn't it? I mean, I wouldn't think we will. I think we'll probably lose to City potentially because we didn't lose it last season. A lot of averages. We probably lose. I just got a feeling we might lose at Spurs just because I don't know. I just feel as though they're probably due a defeat there. Villa are a tough game. We might draw there, so that's 6. That's 8 points dropped in them 3 games, and then probably a draw against someone at home. Probably Brighton will sit back and get a 0-0 or something. I wouldn't be surprised because a bit like Man City, they don't start the season well. We didn't start the season that well last year. I think we'll grow we'll get better as it goes along. And in a way, it's not a bad thing to get them games out of the way. If we pick up some points, brilliant. And if we don't, it's not the end of the world. But I think if we get 20 points or more, I'll be reasonably happy with that 10 games if that's where we are.
I want more than that. If you're going to win the league, as you say, it's not just City. Another team could come from nowhere, you said earlier, and suddenly Man United 10 games in could be sitting up there winning 9 games. You just never know. They're buying players. It's not over. So I think that's too many points to lose for me. I'd want to draw against. I'll take the defeat against City, win Spurs, draw at Villa. I think at the worst to win. We don't want to be 10 games in. That dropping 10 points for me. Agree to disagree on that one, mate. We'll see.
I just think because it's 3 of our toughest games out of the way as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, but it's just 10 points out of 30 points. That's a lot. That's a lot to drop.
How about 30 points out of 30, guys? So
I'll take that. Zinchenko.
That wouldn't be too bad, would it? That wouldn't be too bad.
Let's finish on that.
Anyway, I'll
shall
put it
we?
this way: if we've got 30 points out of 30 after 10 games, then I think we'll win the quadruple.
Well,
Go
right. I hope Arsenal and the whole team and the whole squad and everyone's watching this. You heard Rich say that. You've heard Rich say that. It's on record.
Hang on, I've got Zinchenko on the phone. Sorry. What
Turn the bugger off then.
do you mean you're the captain of Ukraine? Yeah, but you tell him, not me. I'll give you his number. All right, no worries. Sorry about that.
Brilliant.
Is he going to ring me? Is he?
Yeah,
Is he going to ring me?
He's not happy. Yeah, Rich, he's not happy. No, he
Bless
says your
you.
glass.
That's all right. Let him ring me. I'll speak to him.
He said your glass.
I've got a plane. I've got a private jet ready and waiting to take him away anywhere. It's just waiting. Just give me the word and he's on it.
Arteta to join him for you, though, isn't it?
Well, yeah, Arteta he's got a seat already there waiting. Arteta's had a seat for 2 or 3 years already, waiting to go. He can go back to Spain. That's where he's going. He's going back there.
The man's not for turning when it comes to Arteta. What can Arteta do, Rich, to turn you around? Win the double.
Win something. Win something. Anything. Win a trophy. Show me that you've got that about you, because I don't believe he's got it about him to get anything over the line.
Yeah.
So do it. Prove me wrong. Win a trophy, and you'll win me over. Because that's all I want to see us do. We should be winning trophies with Arsenal. We've gone too long without winning anything much,
100%.
and we need to be winning trophies. And if he's not the man to do it, we'll get someone else. I'm not fussed. A lot of people seem to think Arteta's the only option that we've got. He's the only one that we can rely on to win us anything. Well, he hasn't won us anything in nearly 5 years. If he doesn't do it this year, he's never going to, is he? Yeah. But that's how we'll convince you, Lee, by winning something. Anything. Win a trophy. Show me you can do it. Show me you can win us a trophy. And then that's it. Then I'll be prepared to give you another 2 or 3 years trying to do it again. But if you don't win anything this year, I don't want to see you at Arsenal again ever. Unless
He has to win something this year. I do agree with that. He's got to win the trophy.
You're right. He has got a godlike follow. It doesn't. Maybe again, we're going harking back to how it used to be. We used to have an opinion. Now, I get called. I got called. I think I mentioned you. I got called.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I think I'm really optimistic. Someone said to me, supported Arsenal 48 years from Highbury, I'm not a proper supporter. Because I moaned about a few games. I'm like, but surely you can have an opinion. You're not a nodding dog, are you? You just go, Arteta, we're great. I've got a season ticket. You ain't a proper supporter unless it's all great. Well, support Neil. I've sat next to Neil. What am I like watching football, Neil? Have you ever seen?
Unbelievable. I want to experience it again. That's how good it was.
Yeah.
It was
I'm
phenomenal.
You
should have seen him. You should have seen this man. I have to. Next time I go, I'll take some video coverage. That's something. It knocks my phone five rows down. You know.
I'm going up for headers. I'm going up for. I am dying in that stadium, right? But because I go away and say, "Oh, maybe we should do this different," I'm not a proper supporter. Incredible, but anyway.
I listen. I'm a short guy, right? But I'm quite heavy, right? And this guy was throwing me around like a rag doll. I was like, "Hey, he was literally." Honestly, it's like I couldn't believe it, and everyone. We were with my friend's son, wasn't he, Wayne? And he just couldn't stop laughing. He was enjoying the match so much. We were enjoying Lee more than the game at some points. I kid you not.
Yeah,
good stuff. That's what it's all about, isn't it? That's what it's all about. He's a legend, anyway. If anyone says Lee's not a proper fan, they just need to get their head sorted out. Quite
honestly. Thank you, Rich. Cheers, mate. Thank you, Richard.
Michael says, start of last season, Arteta messed around with the team, playing party right back, Havertz in the 8th year. He knows what our strongest team is after January. No excuses. We have to fight. He still kept playing Havertz in midfield in pre-season, though, didn't he? So has he learned? I don't know. We'll see. But you're right. We have to start well. And if we start well, who knows? 30 points out of 10 games, we'll be loving it, won't we? So that's the start of the season's coming. A new season number 100 and whatever it is for Arsenal. And it's going to be a good one. And it's going to end in some trophies, isn't it? Otherwise, it's bye-bye to the manager. Neil thinks we're going to win the league. Lee thinks we're going to win the league. Tom thinks we're going to win the double. It's all good stuff, isn't it? We're bound to win something. There's 4 trophies. We've got to win one of them, surely. Surely we'll win one of them. Let's hope so. Lee, thank you very much for joining us. As always a pleasure. Tom, as well, great to see you again. You'll have to come on more often because we love having you on. And Neil, of course, as always, good to see all you guys. Let's hope Saturday's a good game. Let's hope we get off to a good start and we fly through the season. That'd be great, wouldn't it?
Come on, you Gunners.
Come on.
Come on, you guys. Indeed. Come on, you Gunners. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget, give us a like and subscribe. I will see you Saturday for the game. Of course, it's going to be a good one. So join me for that. We're all going to love it, aren't we? And just to get us in the mood, we are going to play out with everybody's, apart from mine, favourite song. See you Saturday, guys. Take it easy. Come on, you Gunners.
See you, Tom.